Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are going to be talking about every elite card in Sorcery Contested Realms beta set. If you haven't watched our other reviews so far, we did the Ordinaries and Exceptionals in 2 different videos. Then we also did a format overview about beta and the differences between beta and alpha. So if you're curious about all that stuff, you can go ahead and watch those videos. We are going to be grading the cards for draft and sealed. We're not talking about constructed today. And the format specifically we're talking about is Spellslinger is the default avatar, and then you have the draft kit with the Wasteland and Stream and Spire and whatnot as the default sites. Anything you want to say before I go over the grading scale, Nick?
Elites, yay! We get to the power level. Looking forward to this one because there are some amazing cards in the elite section. So happy to be here, Mitch. Thanks for having me. Always a lot of fun. So let's get into it.
All right, so the grading scale is going to be the same as the other videos, but I'm going to go over it quick. So the A's are bombs. They put you into a winning position when you're behind sometimes, or if you're already ahead, they're going to make it so that you basically can't lose the game anymore, like overwhelming advantage. B's are going to push your current advantage, or they might stabilize you. They're good at breaking parity, things that get 2-for-1s. I usually put in the B range. C's are average cards. You're not happy or unhappy to play them, but you're going to end up with a bunch of them in your deck. Usually, I never cut a C+ from my deck. I usually won't cut a C. Most of my decks will have a few C- level cards in them, so that's kind of the important playable to unplayable range is usually between C+ and C-. And then if you get to the Ds, then you're really unhappy to put them in your deck, but every once in a while, 1 or 2 D+ level cards will make it into your deck. And then the Fs, you're basically never going to play in any circumstance. And then we'll have a build around grade. It's a modifier to the normal grade that we give. So if there's some cards in your deck that are going to bump a card up in value because it's a really good combo with your avatar or other minions in your deck or something, then we might give a build around grade to give a little bit more context. Okay, so we are starting with Earth again. So Master Tracker is the first card. This is 2 mana, 1 Earth threshold for a 2-power elite mortal. All enemies permanently lose stealth. So Centhounds is an ordinary in the set, and it's the same stat line, except it says nearby enemies lose stealth, I believe. So not much of an upgrade there. What did I give it? I gave it a C.
I agree. With our 2 legends, in beta not so much, but with our 2 legends, there is so much to do about stealth, and stealth is one of the strongest mechanics, so just having that ability is good. On the other hand, this is just a vanilla 2-part minion. I mean, will you keep it in hand just in case your opponent has a stealth minion? No, you will just cast it and play with it, and yeah, then the opponent also knows about it. So if you can use this to remove something with stealth, you're very happy, but overall it's just a vanilla 2-drop, so C is right. Next one, Mordic Druids, 2 mana for 1-part minion with 1 Earth threshold, elite mortal, a spellcaster. Whenever you lose life due to an undefended attack nearby, the attacker's controller also loses that much life. Strange cards. Overall, my assessment is I don't want to play 1-part minions because the impact is not important or not there, just from the attacking point of view. But this card works a bit differently. This is more a defense card where basically you're threatened that if for every point your opponent does nearby, they will also take that damage, which is actually quite insane. So I think I never played with these cards, but I had to play against it, and it's very annoying actually. The only downside is 1-part minions are very easily to kill, and in the reality with like stuff like Burning Hands, Redbreast Robins, etc., it is just too dangerous. So there is a place in perhaps an aggressive deck where you are already, if your opponent is at 8 life and then you cast this card, this could actually lock up the game. That is the only deck that I would consider it. But if you're behind and then you have this thing, it will just not have the impact. If I'm at 20 life and the opponent is at 5 and they cast this card, it doesn't do anything. So yeah, just be smart about it. I would just give it an F or a build around C+ somewhere there.
Yeah.
But I don't play it.
Yeah, I give this a D. I just don't think it really passes the smell test. I've never really. I have actually seen this in play. I think Ira played it in the top 8 draft at the limited championship, and I'm sure I just killed it pretty freely, and it just didn't matter at all. Like you usually you win games of sorcery. Like the most of the game is about trading resources and killing their minions, and like damage is what happens once you're already ahead and it's time to close out the game and actually kill your opponent. So this is just not gonna affect the main part of the game, which is just like I want to have more things on board than you. I want to have more cards in hand than you, and this is just like a free card that just doesn't really do anything. Sisters of Silence is next. It is 2 mana for an Earth Threshold, 1 power Elite Mortal. Other nearby minions lose all non-basic abilities. There's actually a discussion about this yesterday. If it removes stealth, I think it does.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, I think, I really wish that this card was in water. Is the thing that I came away with, because this would work with the pirate ship and the sea serpent, like all the waterbound stuff. It removes that, so it's like a silence on a minion. And at least that's like, I guess maybe you'd just rather play silence than this because they can't just remove it. So yeah, I give this a D-, but a build around D+ if you happen to be Earth Water and have waterbound stuff. Maybe it does something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. This card is... I mean, also it's a 1 power minion. It's just not there. This is not what I want to see in my deck. Next one is Screaming Moss, a 3 mana 0 powered minion for 2 Earth Thresholds. It's an elite beast. Whenever a nearby minion dies, Screaming Moss permanently gains its power. I don't know if I should call this immediately a build around, because you do not want to cast this 3 mana minion for 0 power. That is not how that works. You want to cast this the moment that you are going to trade something, or at least kill something at the very minimum. So let's say I have a 3-powered minion and I have extra movement to kill his 3-powered minion, and I have mana to cast this next to it. Then basically this is a 3 mana 6-powered minion, which makes it an incredible card, and that is really the build around. So you need to have a lot of minions. You need to have, also defensively, it could be played like if you are already along in the game and you know that removal has been expended, and you have an Amazon Warrior and you can cast this behind it, giving it extra safety. But even then, that is not how we prefer it. If you trade in, this card is amazing. So it's really a build around. And then build around, if you really can get the value out of this, this goes to a high B+. But of course, you don't always can guarantee it. Like 3 mana for 6 that's actually like an A- card. So I land on B to B+, because you don't always are able to control it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give it a C+. Yeah, I don't think I've ever really seen this happen, but yeah, I do have this dream of like, yeah, you play a 3-power minion, they play a 3-power minion next to it that they want to just trade for your thing, and then you'd play this attack. You have a 6-power minion for 3 mana. Like, that is so unbelievably good. And then at that point, then this can kill other minions and then continue to grow. But I've just never seen it happen. I wish that I had, but it's a bit of a dream. I don't know if it's really that worth going the distance to really make this happen, because the fail case is so bad, like 3 mana for 0 power. But yeah, the really low floor, high ceiling. So kind of hard to grade, but I will play it. Mostly just to see if I can get it to happen.
Your comment is on point. Like, if you're just... But even then, if you're still trading off, it's still fine. It is more like if the board is empty and you're top decking, yeah, this is then the word. This can actually cost you the game.
Yeah.
But that's why I also say this is not something for the late game. This should be a huge minion, or at least a 3-part minion. Like even if you trade in 2-part minions against each other, which happens frequently, then it's a 3-mana 4-part minion. That's fine, and it can still then grow. So. No.
All right, next we have Royal Bodyguard. This is 4 mana, 2 Earth Threshold for a 4-power elite mortal. If a nearby avatar or royalty, and then it says that it's a king, queen, prince, or princess, would take damage, Royal Bodyguard may take that damage instead. So it is a May ability. You can choose to take some damage and then choose not to take damage when this is about to die from it. So that's really cool. So it's a brown bears with upside. Obviously, this card is amazing. It's like a Bruin. It keeps you from dying if you're on death's door. We actually had a game recently, right, where you had a Royal Bodyguard near your avatar, and then you were able to, even though it was a double death's door situation, you were able to use your avatar to deal the death blow because the damage was diverted to Bodyguard. So yeah, lots of sweet stuff you can do with it. I give it a B.
Yeah, I think I'm even more to a B plus. In worst case, it's a brown bear, which is definitely good. In best case, it gains you an extra turn. It lets you play or move your avatar around a bit more safe. So yeah, it's a brown bear with upside. Next one, Wicked Witch, 4 mana, double air, Earth Threshold for a 2-part minion, elite mortals, also a spellcaster. Other nearby minions have -2 power. A strange card and super annoying to play against. Really, is it backbreaking? Is it game changing? Sometimes, like all your 3-part minions become 1-part minions, 4-part minions become 2-part minions. So basically, this witch can kill anything that is 3 power or minion or less. So you have to really run away from it. You cannot deal damage. It also affects your minion. So it is really like you know what you're doing, where you place it, what your battle strategy is. So it can go from really annoying and getting so much value for so little to also being a weak minion. It only has a 2 mana, a Vile Imp, anything that deals 2 damage and it kills it. So it's also that you cannot really rely on it fully. And like if my 5-part minion can kill your 4-part minion, then if it shrinks, yes, my 3-part minion can also kill your 2-part minion. So there the effect is not existing. So it's really more about the witch. So it's really about slowing the game down. If you need to get to higher mana, etc., this is a card that lets you do that. You have it in hand. You decide when you want to play it. So Wicked Witch, I think it's a difficult card, but with a lot of upsides. So I would go know what you're doing, and then it's a B plus, B to B plus, somewhere there.
Okay, yeah, I landed on B minus. But yeah, it's kind of like a brown bear. Like it does just kill like 3 power minions. Yeah, it's pretty weird. I've never had the opportunity to play with this. One cool thing you could do with this is if you are Earth Fire and you have deserts, then this can shrink your opponent's minions, and then now they're in desert range. Or yeah, if you're the one that has the Vile Imps and the kobolds and stuff, then you can kill really big stuff with your removal. So
Kobolds also get shrink down to.
Oh, that's true. Power. Yeah, they would deal 0. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, I'll give it a B minus. I'll definitely try it the next time I have the opportunity to. But yeah, just haven't gotten lucky enough yet. Atlas Wanderers is next. It's 5 mana for a triple Earth Threshold, 5 power Elite Giant. It has Genesis. This site and adjacent site change places, carrying along everything of normal size. So it's kind of movement for your other minions. So you put this on a site that you have some other minions there, and then your minions can move to another location, basically, and then they can get some attack off that they couldn't earlier. So it kind of lets your minions like take a step when it enters. So that's all pretty interesting. It's also just the same stats as Amazon Warriors, but the triple Earth threshold is a real cost. So if you're 2 elements, basically, like you want to have 6 Earth threshold in your deck, then I think you can play this, and it still won't be as good as an Amazon Warriors as far as like when you can cast it, but that Genesis is, I think, pretty strong. So I'm giving this a B+, which is actually what I gave to Amazon Warriors.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is an Amazon War that is difficult to cast with upside. The Genesis ability is actually mandatory, so you have to do it. And funnily enough, but I rarely really get big advantage over this card because honestly, you have to cast it on your own sides. So if you are, yeah, it's very strange. I like the card. I think the card is amazing by design, but it's always underwhelmed me for some reason. And the triple casting cost is really annoying. And so if I open up Amazon Warrior and Atlas Wanderers, I will always take the Amazon Warriors. Always. It is so annoying, the triple. So if you're deep in Earth, then of course you're happy to play it. But like, I think they made a mistake. I think this should actually be double threshold. Then I think it would be fine. Now I give it a B-, I think, just because the triple threshold is so annoying in comparison with the minor extra effect you get. And also, not to be underestimated, your side also goes more deep into their territory. So if the Atlas Wanderers disappears, sometimes you can also be a little bit more vulnerable. Anyway. Next one, Earthquake, 5 mana, 2 Earth Threshold Elite Magic. You may rearrange sites within a 2x2 area, carrying along everything of normal size. Then burrow all minions and artifacts on those sites. Earthquake is a bomb. You decide when you cast it. It is a surprise. In Arthur Legends, water is played much more, and so that is the only downside I can think of with this card. That is also the reason in Constructed why they would prefer to play Morgana on a water side, just to protect it from Earthquake. But also in Limited, like 5 mana to potentially move or remove 2 minions. So this often is a 1-for-2 at minimum. Sometimes you can deal with their artifact as well because they get buried. Also, just having the choice to rearrange sites, placing suddenly the avatar before something else, good on death's door for the surprise effect, killing all the minions that potentially can block it, and placing that avatar right where you want it. Yeah, I think we should not kid ourselves. For me, Earthquake is an A+.
Yep, I give it an A+ as well. I guess just an FYI, I see people mess this up a lot, but you do have to rearrange the location of the sites. If there's a void there, you can't actually move a site into the void. That has to already be a site there. But yeah, everything you said, absolutely A+. Rest in Peace is next. This is 5 mana, 2 Earth Threshold for an Elite Aura. I have no idea what this card does. Whenever a spirit or undead minion occupies affected land sites, burrow it. Okay. Yeah, it's an F. Who are we kidding? 5 mana to kill only spirits and undead. Like, I'm sure there's not enough spirits or undead for this to be playable. Let's just move on.
Not yet. Gothic, who knows?
Yeah.
Next one, 5 mana, Stone Gaze Gorgons, 3-part minion for 2 Earth Threshold Elite Monsters. Other minions at rest at adjacent locations are disabled. The card is expensive, that is the first impression, but the effect is incredible. It's really play with it or against it. If you play against it, you will suffer. If you play with it, you will be happy. What happens is adjacent minions are disabled, but he is not. So all disabled minions do not fight back. So basically, this guy on its own can just kill any 3-part minions or less. Whatever the abilities are, they are disabled. Doesn't matter. So if you cannot kill this quickly, he will go on a rampage. That is the least concerning effect of this card, that basically will just kill anything. It also locks down everything. It happens, I cast my Infernal Legion, I feel super powerful and strong, and suddenly there is a Stone Gaze Gorgons that just locks it, and I cannot attack it. I have no way. because my minions on the ground, they have to be adjacent before they can attack. So even if I would have a charge minion, it becomes disabled before it can charge in. So the only way to attack this guy is with airborne minions, moving diagonally and trying to kill it. But there the issue is, of course, if I play it to attack it diagonally, Stone-Gaze Gorgons can just move aside and just disable that minion. It is so difficult to get rid of, and that is why you need cards like Bury, Lightning Bolt, etc. Because honestly, if this guy just gets to do his thing, you will just lose the game. The amount of time you lose to this card and perhaps cards in the meantime, it is just so the upside is so high that this is really deal with this card or just die. So the only negative part is it's only a 3-part minion, and it's a bit expensive, but the expensive part is the effect is so strong that is not a thing. It is just like, if this would have been a 4-part minion, then it would be incredible. Even though I give Stone-Gaze Gorgons a solid A, even to an A+.
Yeah, I give it an A. It's just such a removal check. Like, basically, kill this now or lose the game. Yeah. And yeah, I know we described this in our format overview, I think, but yeah, like at rest is whenever something isn't doing something currently. So you play it and everything adjacent to it is disabled, and then she can move and attack things that are disabled, and they just don't strike her back. Your minions can move into her aura and still strike things because they're not at rest until they have already done the damage. So yeah, incredible card. I give it an A as well.
Perhaps one thing also for the newer players. So because there is the at rest sentence, it means that the minions that come into play, their Genesis abilities will trigger. Because at rest is checked when the minion has appeared already, and that is actually after the Genesis ability has resolved. It's really different because we all know the spiders, and the spiders, they just say everything above is just disabled. So that means that even they come disabled already into play, so there the Genesis effect doesn't happen. So, and it's just because it does not have the at rest. The at rest is an active thing that actually checks it when it is there, and that is why the Genesis ability will resolve, which is actually very important if you would have like a Vilimp or whatever to do that extra damage. So that is a big difference.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Silver Valkyries is next. This is 6 mana, double Earth Threshold for a 4-power Elite Angel. It has Airborne, and at the end of your turn, untap all allies here. So she will untap herself, I believe. So 6 mana for 4-power Airborne. We have Dapper Vampires. We have Wyvern in Arthurian Legends. Those are both just much better cards than this. So I don't know. I mean, it's still 4-power in the air. Like that's very powerful, and it can attack and then block on the next turn. That's pretty cool. It can untap your other things if that matters. Often you don't really want this on the same side as other stuff, but so I give this a B. But honestly, like, is this better than just like a Plume Pegasus that you can cast 3 turns earlier for 1 less power? I don't know. Maybe it is just a B-. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a difficult comparison, but honestly, like, I prefer a Lumbering Giant above a Silver Valkyries. I rather pay 4 mana for a 4-power minion and have the quick effect. Yeah. So 6 is a lot for 4 power, but on the other hand, if it hits the board, it is really annoying. Like, the untap ability is not to be underestimated. Not only it deals it damage and it can move, it will directly untap and be able to block. So I think I still go for a B. As said, I think I just take 4 mana 4-part minions over this, but if I'm in Earth, then sure, I don't mind to put it in my deck. So B- is potentially right, actually.
Okay.
Next, as I don't know how to pronounce it, right? Ratanis Titan. How do you call this? Something like that?
I call it Ratanis Titan. Yeah.
Okay. what he said. So 7 mana, 6-part minion for 2 Earth threshold. It's an elite giant with a Genesis ability. Strike each enemy here. This is a tricky card. In the beginning, I thought like this is so overpowered, this card. Then when I played with it, it was like, damn, this card. I died with this having in my hand because I kept it in my opening hand because it's so amazing. And then it's like, hey, actually, I'm so far ahead, and this guy is sitting in my hand because this only works on my sides. So actually, this card is amazing when you are perhaps a little bit behind or when the board is equal, and then you can draw him in, and then potentially you have a free kill of an Amazon or whatever. And of course, that is amazing if you can play it like this. If you're winning, well, yeah, then basically you just have a 6-part minion on the board, which is also amazing. So yeah, the Titan is a good card, 100%. I want to have it in my deck. You have to be smart and be able to reach it. So this is in the upper echelon. So think about it. How will I get to that 7 mana? But yeah, having it in hand, be able to cast it feels very good. If you can kill multiple minions, then it's the bomb. Now, where to place it? I think I will go for probably A- is probably correct, but I have it more as a B+. If I think RTO Legends, where the format is super fast and probably the game is already decided. But yeah, I would love to have one in my deck.
Yeah, okay. I also gave it an A-, but maybe it's like a B+, but then if you have like Land Surveyors or Geomancer, then it's an A-. But part of being an A is being really good when you're behind, and this is one of the best cards in the entire game when you're behind. So yeah, I'm okay with A-. And yeah, you don't feel that bad about drawing your 7th sight if it means that you're playing a Raytanis Titan and killing their thing. So yeah, one of the expensive cards that I think is playable. All right, and then we get into the really expensive stuff. So we've got Conqueror Worm, 8 mana, 2 Earth Threshold for an 8-power elite beast. At the end of your turn, if no enemy units occupy this site, permanently gain control of it. So I give this a C. I don't know. It's so weird. Like 8 mana, 8 power. Like that's so amazing. Like this huge worm on top of a hill, like totally dominating the board and like gain control of your opponent's sites. But like by the time you're at 8 mana, like your opponent probably is also at like 7 or 8 mana. And like what does taking control of their sites really mean? So that part of the card doesn't really matter. So it's really, do you want to spend 8 mana for an 8 power minion? And the game's going to be over most of the time by the time you get to that. Like imagine like doing your mulligan and then drawing this as one of your cards, and it's just like completely dead in your hand for so long. So maybe, okay, I'll give it a C-. And then if you're Geomancer, I give every 8 or 7 mana card a little bump. It's the Geomancer bump. One like partial letter grade up if you can actually ramp into it and play it. But yeah, this is a difficult one. What do you think?
Yeah, fortunately, I agree with everything you said. This is barely playable. Like, I don't mind having like one very costly minion in your deck, but the reality is that there is not a big difference between an 8-part minion and a 6-part minion. The only difference is that the 8-part minion will kill the 6-part minion. But like if you're in that phase of the game, yeah, like getting to 8 mana is so difficult. And then if it would be like a mountain giant that we will cover in a moment that has a lot of area that can block, then there is potentially upside to it. But this one, it is just a minion. It can do the same as a 4 or 5-part minion. It can just block and kill one other thing. If you're behind, this will not save you. If you're ahead, yeah, then it will just hit hard. But yeah, so no, unfortunately, C-. But even that, I don't want to play this actually. So I think it's more like D range.
Yeah.
Next one, Craterize, 8 mana for 2 Earth Threshold Elite Magic. As an additional cost to cast Craterize, discard a site. So that is extra to the casting cost. Destroy target sites and deal damage to each unit above or below a site in the area of effect. And then you have the grids, which is basically spread over the whole realm, dealing then 10 damage on often your avatar's head or that one conquer worm that you want to kill. And then it deals everywhere damage. So in the beginning, I thought Great Rise was completely unplayable in Limited. It's like, it's not 8 mana, it's 9 mana, because you need that extra site in your hand to be able to discard. But I learned that it could really be that one card that if you're able to play it, the effect and the impact is so huge that you will get so much advantage, because you can puzzle it. You can really say, this is the perfect location where I basically kill 3 of your minions, my opponent minions, and it takes like 7 damage, 4 damage, 10 damage. And basically it's a complete board wipe that you control. But there are some side comments to it. Like, if you're on death's door, this is also very problematic because there is no way to escape, basically. And then it becomes unplayable, unfortunately. I think that's right. Is there a way to escape?
No, you can still cast it. It'll do like 10 to their
back
yeah,
of course, but I'm saying, yeah, of course, that's okay. But sometimes, so that's completely right. So in that case, it's fine. But it's more like if you really need to kill that one minion and you are in that space because it's so huge, the area, then you sometimes I have it that I actually cannot cast it the way that I actually want it, because I just take too much damage. But overall, I think Great Rise is actually playable. If you have it in your deck, you should think about it, that this is really your game winner, and build towards it. So you have to have the other cards to get there. Don't play this in an aggressive deck. That is not how you should do this. This is more the controller style, and then the effect is amazing. So giving said that, so it's in the build around, or just think about it, and there it goes to... that's difficult. I would then say even A minus, if you can get there on a consistent basis. So it's something like this. But difficult card, of course.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we don't see too many control decks in Limited, but this is a legit way to actually have a finisher. Like, if you get to cast this, you just win the game. Like, there's no getting around it. So yeah, if you have like a root spider and a good suite of removal, and ideally you're playing Geomancer again or something like that where you can actually get to 8 mana, like maybe you have the mix that can actually mix this out, like that'd be really sweet. But yeah, in the average deck it's probably like a D. But yeah, if you really do build around it and you can last until the very, very, very late game and actually cast this, then yeah, you probably just won the game.
Yeah, I think with Spellslinger you will have the option to just draw a lot of sides if you have leprechauns in your deck, which I love to have. Like, it is really doable to get there, and then, as you say, you probably just win the game.
Okay, Mountain Giant is next. It is 8 mana, 4 Earth Threshold for an 8 power elite giant, and it occupies 4 locations. So it's one of the very few minions in the game that takes up multiple locations. I guess maybe it is the only one. The only exception to that is like Elementalist animating auras. But anyway, so the way that works, I mean, I haven't had that much interaction with this mechanic, but if any part of this is in the void, then it's banished. But so that just means you can't like play it on a corner or something. So that shouldn't really be a problem. And then the other important part of this is that if part of it is on a water site and part of it is on a land site, then it can't be buried and it can't be drowned. So that's kind of cool. So that gives it a little bit extra protection. And then the other part of that is that it has a lot of range. So when it moves and attacks, you can choose any of the 4 locations that it's on to actually do the attack. It also means that it can be blocked in a lot of different area. I guess, is that true? I guess it chooses one spot to attack, and then things have to be adjacent to that location to actually block it, right? So yeah, I guess that is a pretty big advantage. I don't know that I really like this more than Conqueror Worm. I mean, it is quadruple threshold. That's a huge cost. So, I mean, it is 8 mana. So if you have 6 Earth threshold, you can probably reasonably count on casting this. Yeah, it's pretty hard though. So I'd probably again only play this in Geomancer, and then it's probably only like a C or C plus because you just have to wait so long to actually put it on the board. But then it is like kind of impossible to kill. So I'm not really sure. Have you ever actually seen this in play in limited?
Oh yeah, I played with it, and it's actually funny because I once played it and won a draft in a 4-colored deck, and indeed. And the funny thing is, because the reason behind this, like, you look at the 4 Earth thresholds, but the reality is, like, if you have drawn 8 out of your 12 sides, you probably have the 4 Earths. It's like, otherwise you're not building it correctly. So in 2 elements, in 3 elements, you will have your 4 Earth sides normally. So again, with the big emphasis, like, know what you're doing. If your plan is to reach 8 mana, then this card is really good. It is really completely different to the Conquer Worm, where you just have that only 1 minion be able to block adjacent. This is so huge. I mean, you can cast it on your side, but also on your opponent's sides as a starting location. And then with one step, you are everywhere, basically. So you cannot outrun the mountain giants, not as an avatar, but also not as beasts. The mountain giant is so huge that it will just start killing everything that it's in its path. Of course, not good against tokens, but that's for all the bigger minions. Tokens will just block it. But mountain giants, you cannot escape, as you say, with water and earth. It is difficult to get rid of, actually, because of bury, etc. If you're a bit smart about it, that as well. So yeah, if you're planning to play 8 mana stuff like with the Creator Ice, then actually I think Mountain Giant is definitely B plus range. If it's on the board, you really are in trouble. Big time, which is different to me than with Conquer Worm. With Conquer Worm, you can outrun it, you can get to other places to deal your damage in, and it cannot follow. That is completely different with Mountain Giants. And also, it will also block anything, anywhere. So, yeah. But that's just my vision. Next one, Assorted Animals. It's, I think, the second X. It was the first X cards. We have Arcane Barrage in Arthur Legends. It's a double Earth threshold. Elite Magic. Search your spellbook for different beasts with a combined mana cost of X or less. Reveal them and put them to your hand. Shuffle your spellbook. So basically, it lets you search for beasts. It's a very difficult card. It is actually surprisingly not that difficult to draft beasts. Like, you easily can have 3, 4, 5 beasts in your deck. The best one that you want to search is if you have a spider in your deck, this is your way to get spider. It's then only 3 mana, and you want to have your spider. It is such a big impact. If you have like Escalon Phoenix, which is a killer against red, you will be able to search it for 5. The issue is, like, the higher the casting cost, you are spending a full turn to search for that card. And yeah, in the fast format, that is just not happening. So the only way is if you are really still high in life count, and for instance, you can get a Scarabs and a Unicorn for 5. Yeah, then you just gain 2 mana. So it is difficult. I tried it. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's a bad card, or like you don't have the time to cast it, and then it doesn't feel good. So I think the card is fairly balanced. Given that it's a build around which beast do you have, and yeah, how much do you need them? I think I end rather low. I think it's more a real build around B-ish, B minus ish.
Yeah, I landed on. I guess like for the normal grade, it's probably like a D. Like you probably have like one or two just like kind of mediocre
Yeah.
beasts in your deck. But yeah, the more good stuff you have, the higher it goes. So I go to build around B, but it really depends. So kind of interesting. I just did a look to see how many beasts are in each element, and Earth actually has the least amount of beasts, which is not what I would have guessed. There's only 8 beasts in Earth, and one of them is Conqueror Worm, which you're never paying 8 mana for that.
I hope not.
Yeah, and then there's 12 in fire, there's 16 in water, and there's 10 in air. So kind of weird there, but yeah, you'll know when you want to play this card.
But it's like with the Kings with Parches that allows you to remove 3 beasts for your opponent. How happy you are to remove some of these beasts in the deck. This is the other way around.
Yeah.
This lets you start it. It's also like cards that I would not really like for instance, the Pit Vipers. Well, if I have assorted animals in my deck, be able to search for 1 extra mana, a Pit Viper, sure. So yeah, it really depends how you build your deck with it.
All right, Far East Assassin is the first fire elite card we're going to review. So this is 2 mana, 1 fire threshold for a 2-power elite mortal. It has stealth, and then it has tap. Far East Assassin throws an artifact he carries at target adjacent unit. It takes damage equal to the artifact's mana cost. So we're just not really playing with artifacts very often, especially not expensive ones. And some of those you probably don't even want to throw at your opponent anyway. So yeah, unfortunately, this is not really relevant. So it's just a 2 mana, 2-power stealth unit, which is like a C.
So funnily enough, one of my best friends had this in draft, and he also had a Philosopher's Stone, and he actually killed his opponent with a stone to the face, which was so funny. But let's get real. A 2 mana, 2-part minion with stealth, that's just a good card. A good card. It's playable. It's okay. It's not amazing. So there I follow the C. And then the tap, like, yeah, if you actually have the artifacts in hand and you can get the advantage. So it depends on what is in your deck. But what are you going to throw? A pendulum? I don't think so. Manning bells, like, do you want to have the Manning bells? So if you just start thinking, like, which artifacts do I want to have in my deck that can deal the damage? Yeah, you don't come up with a lot. A sword and shield, I don't think I want to throw it away. So yeah, I guess C. It is playable, but don't expect it to be amazing. Next one, Seasoned Cell Sword. 2 mana for 4-part minion, 2 fire threshold elite mortal, and avatars nearby have discard a card, gain control of Seasoned Cell Sword. I think this card is a very, very difficult card. 2 mana for 4 power, that is insane. That is the cheapest, toughest minion that is there, I think. The other one is 3 mana for 5-part minion, but that has to follow you around. So if you think I want to not die, I want to gain time, there is no issue with playing this card on your avatar. It will stop anything in the beginning, and your avatar will just not be around. It changes if you want to be aggressive. The moment that you start attacking your opponent's side, they will be able to start discarding it and gain control of it. Also important to know that now when you gain control, it doesn't has summoning sickness. So if you keep Seasoned Sellsword back because you need to block, then it becomes untrustworthy. Because if your opponent takes a step forward, discard a card, he gets it, and he's able then to attack you. So it's really a complex card. I think, honestly, I like the card. I think it is good. But I also had it backfired once, and I lost the game because of it. Now, all the other games that I played with it, I actually got an advantage. So, yeah, very tricky. Sometimes I just don't feel like all the thinking work, and I just don't put it in my deck. But then I always force myself to put it in my deck because I really believe it's a good card. voila, given set all of this, if you're smart about it, I go to giving it a B plus, but you always have to be aware and you always need to consider the danger of this card as well. And if you are getting behind on card draw, whatever, you are in trouble. So if you have like a boulder that could potentially just take it away if it is really necessary, or with a snowball, stuff like this, that gives it a bit more safety. Voila, tricky cards.
Yeah, I landed on C plus, which is me basically saying like I'll try it once before I before I decide if it's good or not. Like, yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, I guess you want to play it in like your back row, and then it blocks really well. And then if you do get to attack their site with it and then pass the turn, like they can gain control of it, but it's gonna be tapped. So then on your turn, you could then move and gain control of it, and then it'll continue to be tapped, and then you're just gonna discard cards until someone doesn't discard a card to it, and then it'll untap on someone's turn. But
yeah, but so that is what makes the card also powerful. But there's the tricky part. Like if you're on the play and you can start the second turn with a 4-part minion, basically they cannot cast a boss troll or they cannot attack with it. Mm-hmm. So if you can trade or get ahead in the game and he has to start discarding and you follow, you are just ahead because you're just trading. So it also is pressure on the hands that you have because it forces you to discard. So if you're ahead, it really puts the pressure on your opponent. But if something happens that it turns around and they put the pressure back, then you're in the same spot. So yeah, and the problem with this card is like it has its best effect in the beginning. But then you're still unsure what is happening. And so there it's sometimes more like more dangerous. Later on in the game, of course, if you can cast it for 2 somewhere back in the realm that it can start dealing damage, then it is more safe. But then also the casting cost of 2 doesn't matter that much anymore. Yeah, difficult card.
Yeah, I really don't know what to give it, so I'll just play with it and get back to you. How about that? Okay, Disintegrate is next. It is 3 mana, 2 fire threshold for an elite magic. Banish target minion nearby and everything it carries. I never thought about this, but it banishes everything it carries, not just artifacts. So if they have a minion carrying another minion, you actually get a 2-for-1 with this. But most of the time, it's just 3 mana, kill whatever you want, and that's pretty amazing. I give this a B plus. Sometimes the banishing will matter, but usually it's not really relevant.
Yeah, I agree. B plus. The only annoying is that it has to be nearby your spell casters. So, of course, in constructed with town, it's all around. This is simple. Here, it really is around your avatar. But I think it shines in the middle game where, or you are getting behind and you can just kill his biggest, meanest minion. It just does a lot. Next one is Grosse Poltergeist, 3 mana for 1-part minion with 2 fire threshold elite spirits. It says tap until the poltergeist leaves the realm, gain control of a nearby artifact and animate it. It's an automation with power equal to its cost and has its own bear's ability. A lot of text for something that never happens, complete effort, never play with it. And also as a side comment, it does not have airborne. It feels like it should have airborne, but it does not. It is just a very weak minion that can take control of an artifact, but which artifacts are there? Are they guaranteed? Not at all. And is that, yeah, anyway, it's not happening.
Yeah, I gave it an F as well. And out of curiosity, I just had to look to see if there was one good artifact that you could animate, and Spear of Destiny is the one. Tap, teleport to somewhere, kill something, and then it's like I think it's 5 mana, 5 power minion, right? But yeah, that's a build around D-. I gave it. Okay, Scorched Earth is 3 mana, 1 fire threshold for an elite magic. Choose any number of sites you control, destroy each of those sites and everything there. So I thought at first that this would just be like a complete F, like I don't want to just blow up a bunch of my sites, but I gave it a D plus, which is like if you really have not good removal and you're just really missing on playables, then maybe this makes the cut, and you can actually just 2-for-1 yourself, like blow up your site, blow up their Amazon warriors, and move on with your life.
You gave it a D plus?
Yeah.
So I have it as a B plus to A minus. So I think this is the cards where we have complete different opinions about. So in the beginning, I agree with your assessment. Is this any good? Like, why would you cut into your own flesh? But the funny thing about this card is, so for me, it's like a middle to late game card. And when behind, this is really something that solves it. So at worst case, this is a 3 mana bury in fire and you lose a site, which is annoying, but you will overcome it. Like if you can kill an Amazon War, sure, the Amazon War needs to die. But if you know that you have it in hand, you can actually, when you get a little bit behind, draw it in. And honestly, nobody sees this card coming. And often it is really a 2-for-1. Yes, you will lose 2 sides, but probably you are dealing damage on the other side of the realm, whatever. And it really can really be game changing for only 3 mana. So playtested it, and honestly, not so long ago, I lost because of this card, and I thought I was 100% won. Like the game was over in my mind. They cast this card, he killed 3 of my minions. Yes, he lost 3 sides, but when you are like in the middle to 8 game with 7 mana, okay, he dropped from 7 to 4, but it's not that you don't have mana anymore. He could still continue. I lost 3 of my minions, and the game was over. So the potential of this card is really, really very high, and that's why I also rate it very high.
Okay, very interesting.
Next one, Infiltrate. 4 mana, 1 fire threshold, sophisticated magic. Gain control of target enemy minion until it deals damage, and tap it. It gains stealth. Very simple. Infiltrate is an A+. This is one of the bombs in the game. Why it is not limited to 2 steps away, it is anywhere in the realm. It does not matter. Well, burrowed, submerged, that's different, but anywhere, airborne, whatever, you just gain control. The fact that I have a blocker ready and suddenly it disappears is already strong. The fact that it gains stealth is also strong, because basically what you want to do is, or you want to take a kobold and let it just die, then it's removal. That is the lowest of ceilings. Otherwise, you take like a really good minion, like a Pudge or a Vampire or whatever is annoying you, and it's just out of the game. So when it loses stealth, the ownership will go back. So the thing is like, or you want to deal damage with the minion, so it's at death's door and you have a finisher behind it, then it's stealth damage, they cannot deal with it. Or you really just want to kill it off. I stole a 4 mana minion and I just traded in for his 4 mana minion. And then I have a 1-for-2, then it's amazing. So Infiltrate is everything that you want. Removing stealth is not easy. There are not that many cards that can interact with it, or like with the fate changing. I learned recently that it can actually send it back to hand, but who is playing that card? Love to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I gave this an A. It's like a removal spell with upside. Like, ideally, you steal their thing, and then on a later turn, you get to like trade their thing for their other thing. Or yeah, you can just, if there's not a situation where you can easily trade off their minion that you stole, you can also just move this onto their avatar and just wait until they're on death's door, and then you just have a stealth attacker to just deal the death blow. So incredible card. I totally agree. They probably should have made this like nearby or something. But I guess the infiltration part of it makes sense that it's just anywhere in the realm, basically. And then, just to make sure, like you kind of said it, but they did errata this card. So it's not until it deals damage, it's until it loses stealth now. Maze Minotaur is next. It is 4 mana, 1 fire threshold for a 4-power elite monster. Enemy minions can't move themselves out of a maze of 9 locations nearby Maze Minotaur. So, you can just imagine he's in the middle of the maze, and the 9 sites that he's nearby, they can't move away from any of those 9 sites, but they can move in between the sites basically. So it's like another brown bears with some upside. Sometimes that ability can matter because you can like attack a site just outside of the maze and they can't block anymore with their minions that are inside the maze. So I don't know. I give this a B. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I give it a B plus. I think Sandworm is amazing, and this is not landbound, so it really just is a 4 for 4. It only has a 1 threshold, so it's easily castable, splashable. The effect of the card doesn't happen. It's not that relevant most of the time, but it really can be relevant. Sometimes you're chasing or you have to get away from a minion and you're just running around and suddenly there's a mace meter and you cannot escape anymore. So I lost already a minion and then it's a free kill basically. So yeah, it's a good minion with upside. So I give it B to B plus. Next one, Escalon Phoenix, 5 mana for 4-part minion, double fire threshold for an elite beast with airborne. If Escalon Phoenix would take damage from a fire spell or ability, it gains +1 power this turn instead. This card, it took so long to really understand what it is all about, because in the beginning the rulings were not 100% clear. So it's a 4 mana airborne minion for 5. That is already very good. And then basically it doesn't, how I now read it, it's like it doesn't take any damage from fire. It's that simple. Any interaction, any damage, deserts, whatever, it all just boosts the power. Also with Poison Nova, it doesn't take the lethal damage, it will boost it because the damage doesn't happen. Escalon Phoenix is your worst nightmare if you're playing with fire and they play this against you, because they will control everything. Yeah, this card is so solid. Like, even if you're not playing fire or against fire, it is just a 4-part minion, airborne, so that's already amazing. If you play against fire, then it's really crushing. As we discussed multiple times, fire is the deepest color in beta and in Arthurian Legends, so the chance that you are up against fire is high. So yeah, Escalon Phoenix is for me a solid A.
I've always assumed that it gains power equal to the amount of damage prevented. Is that true, or is it always +1 power?
So it says instead. So instead taking the damage, it will just boost it.
Yeah, but is it +1 or is it plus X, where X is the amount of damage it took?
No, X. If you deal 3 damage to it, it will gain 3.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, the weird thing, like you said, like fire spell or ability isn't really clear what that means, but ability includes like strikes from fire minions, so it can just freely kill fire minions, and it gets bigger. You can also do weird things with it, where like you cast a minor explosion and kill their thing, and your Phoenix just happens to be there, and it just gets +3 power, or like a major explosion or something like that will just randomly boost this thing's power. And yeah, if you're playing against fire, this just wins the game basically on the spot. Like, they just can't get rid of it. So yeah, I give it an A-. And then we will move on to Bull Demons of a Doom. This is a 5 mana, 2 fire threshold, 5 power elite demon, and it has tap, move 3 steps in a cardinal direction. When Bull Demons of a Doom enters each location, they strike each untapped unit there. So that's a lot of words, but yeah, tap, move 3 steps. It has to be in one direction, and then as it enters each location, so not the location it starts on, but as it enters, and then it has to look at only untapped minions there. So unfortunately, it's kind of complicated, but it all really matters. You have to actually figure out how this card works. But even if you just ignore that ability, it's just a 5 mana, 5 power minion, which is very solid. I haven't really seen the ability come up very often, because like all they have to do is tap their minion and the ability doesn't really matter anymore. So I just give it a B+, and it's like a threat of activation thing, but they can pretty easily play around it.
Yeah, for me, it's just a 5 mana for 5 power minion, which is good. So it's a B for me. So it's really a pity, I think, the untapped units. I don't think that was necessary because honestly, what will happen is I cast it and anything on that line will just take a step to the sides. And then if you need to control, your bull will take a step. And then if you can activate movement and then use it, yeah, all the minions that stepped there were untapped, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a pity. Perhaps then it would have been too strong. That is possible. So yeah, I think it's a B. It's okay. But yeah, Amazon Warriors is probably even better. Next one, Panorama Manticore, 5 mana for a 5-part minion, 2 fire threshold and elite beast with airborne and with lethal. At the end of the turn, if you cast a non-fire spell this turn, untap Panorama Manticore. This card is so much like all the text on this card is amazing. The only difficulty is a 2 fire threshold, but that's not a problem. So 5 mana for 5 airborne, that is so solid. That is a little bit better than an Amazon Warrior because it can go in any direction.
Yeah.
Then it has lethal, which I always find silly, like it's a 5-powered minion. What do you expect? Well, there are some cases where your opponent has a mountain giant, whatever, and then you're actually quite happy to have that lethal guy flying around. And by the way, if you would have grapple shot, etc., I mean, lethal is just lethal. That's amazing ability. And then at the end of your turn, if you cast a non-fire spell this turn, untap it. So most of the time you are always in 2 or 3 elements. So it just untaps, so it will attack. It will be difficult to block. It will deal damage, and then it attacks and block anything that you want. Yeah, this. So I land on a very solid A. It is only a minion, so you can just remove it as you would have to remove the Gorgons. Same here, you really have to remove the Manticore. Sometimes it will just trade for any other 5-part minion, so that's why I don't go to the A+, but it's a very effective, very strong minion.
Yeah, lethal also matters because they can't double block this really profitably. Like, you just kill whatever they double or triple block with. You just assign 1 damage to each thing. Yeah, incredible card. I also gave it an A. Not much more to say about it. I mean, how do you kill this thing? Like, Amazon Warriors, you can at least attack and then cast a Firebolts or something and 2 for 1 yourself, but you can't even really do this against this because of the airborne. You just can't even attack it. So yeah, pretty messed up card. Flame Wave is 6 mana to Fire Threshold for an elite magic. Flame Wave flows horizontally from one edge of the realm to the other. Deal damage to each unit atop sites in the area of effect. So you choose basically left or right, and then you go 7 mana on whichever border, and then 5 mana. 7 damage, 5 damage, 3 damage, 1 damage. So this can deal damage everywhere on the board that you want it to. You can move your minions away from it and then have it start on the other side. I think you can maneuver a board in some way where this is like a one-sided board wipe. And obviously it can just deal the death blow no matter where they are. It's pretty bad when you're on Death's Door. You probably just can't cast this. You have to move all the way to the other side of the board to cast it at all. So I give this an A-. I'm not sure if that's accurate. What do you think?
Flame Wave is very strong. Like, of course, there's major explosion, but the difference between 6 mana and 7 mana is actually there. The fact that you can choose where it starts, so like the 3 damage is always in the middle. So that means that there's 5 or to the one side or the other side. So thinking about Manticores, Amazon Wars, all these annoying minions, there is a good chance that you will just be able to kill it, and you can, in your turn, take a step to the other direction, potentially saving some of your minions. You cannot escape it on that door. It's insta kill. So yeah, A-. I think I agree. B plus 100%, but it's even higher. A- feels right. Next one is Infernal Legion, 6 mana for 6-part minion with triple fire threshold. Elite undead. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to each other adjacent unit. Whenever they ask me, like, which card do you want to open in your beta pack, I always say Infernal Legion. I think this card is so bonkers. It is not perfect. Like, if you are low on mana and sometimes you have trouble casting it where you as an avatar don't take the damage, or sometimes you are forced to burn some of your minions. But overall, this is just an instant effect, so most of the time when you cast this, you will also be able to get rid of 1 or 2 minions. It will directly block anything, and also when it starts to charge, attack in, like, it's so annoying. The 3 damage is not ultimate. I mean, 4-part, 5-part minions will survive, etc. But yeah, you have other spells in hand, potentially. Yeah, Infernal Legion is just a nightmare, and it just hits so hard. So I give Infernal Legion an A+.
Yep, it's definitely an A+. Yeah, like, all the best cards in Sorcery are minions that enter and immediately do something, and this can just immediately get a 2-for-1 or even better. So it's also, I think, in the running for like the best card in the cube that I built too. So that says a lot. Chemish Chimera is next. It is a 6 mana, 6 power minion for 2 fire threshold. It's an elite beast. It can simultaneously attack up to 3 units at the same location. So that's not going to come up very often, but yeah, if they have multiple minions on the same location, you can declare the attack to hit all of them. You can't hit the site and the units, unfortunately, but it's, I think, really there just for flavor. Like, it has 3 heads, it can attack 3 times in one attack. I'm sure there's some weird rules in the FAQs about how blocking works, but I think you like block each head individually. You can't just like block one head and all the attacks fizzle kind of thing. So all that being said, this is a 6 mana, 6 power minion basically, and that's pretty solid. So I give it a B to B+.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a 6 mana, 6 power minion, so that is a B+ for sure. Can simultaneously attack up to 3 units. That really never happens, perhaps with tokens, but then you can just spread around your tokens and Border Militia and Guard starts at different locations, so it's not happening. So yeah, just a big beefy minion, and I would love to have it in my deck. Next one, Ancient Dragon, 7 mana for 6-part minion, triple threshold as well. Elite Dragon with Airborne. Tap, deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location nearby. So 6 power Airborne, that is a lot. Also the casting cost is a lot. So again, if you want to have a real upside minion, something that threatens and does a lot, this is also it, like 6 power in the air. That is also something to be afraid of. The tap ability, deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location nearby. It is not that relevant, but it is on the cards. So that means that, like, if you want to have multiple blockers to finally get rid of it, because as said, you cannot attack it, so you have to block it, but you probably don't have a 6-part minion on the board, so you have to double block it, and then this guy can just start deal 4 damage to get rid of it, is really super annoying. So the effect is you will not have too many minions at target nearby location, but then what do you do against it? So yeah, the card is super solid. The only issue is the high costs. And in fire, you probably have a lot of other beefy minions potentially already. But if this is my one upside card, then sure, I love an Ancient Dragon. It's not easy to cast, but yeah, once it's in play, it's really annoying. So how do I rate it? It's probably A-, around there. Difficult to cast. When it's there, you are super happy.
Okay, yeah, I give it a B+ to A-. Yeah, 7 is a lot, but if you can cast it, yeah, it's pretty difficult to remove all those things. Like if it survives, you just win the game probably.
Yeah, the difference between like the Fomorians we don't like, also 7 mana, too slow. But this one is an airborne, so basically the moment that you cast it, you can block basically anything, which is different than the Fomorians. So that's why I really rate it higher.
Yeah. Okay, Major Explosion is 7 mana, 2 fire threshold for an elite magic. Target a location up to 2 steps away. Deal damage to each unit at locations in the area of effect. So it deals 7 damage wherever you choose, and then 5 in like the T pattern, and then 3 in the corners. So that is a ton of damage. It deals damage to everything there, so that's really cool. It's kind of funny that it's 2 steps away, because if you have to do like 1 step to the side, 1 up, then you're actually dealing 3 damage to yourself. But normally you're just gonna like take a step forward and then go 2 steps ahead of that, and then that's on your avatar, your opponent's starting location. Then it probably just like kills all of their minions. Yeah, I've had this card, and it is a complete blowout when you get what you want out of it, which isn't really that hard to do. So I give this an A. It's another card that I'm like happy to draw my 7th sight to just play this earlier and get like a 3-for-1 and deal a bunch of damage. Yeah, it's definitely won me games, so very happy to have this card in my deck.
Yeah, the effect of this card is insane. It's like it will kill anything, any issue is dealt with, more or less. So the effect is an A plus for sure. So it's also an A for me just because of the 7 mana cost. But you will get there probably, and then yeah, it will turn around the game. Next one is a Meteor Shower, 9 mana for 3 fire threshold elite magic. Target 3 sites that share no borders. Deal damage to each unit atop sites in each area of effect. So if you look at the areas, so it is basically a major explosion, because it's also 753. It is the 3 damage, so it's also a minor explosion. And then I guess you have like a meteor explosion. But like, it is just too much. Like, major explosion is more than enough to really just kill your opponent outright and get the advantage. Having 3 of those things could even be annoying because they cannot touch each other, so you have to make the puzzle. There's no limitation where they go, but honestly, 9 mana, what were they thinking? I guess if you make a major explosion 7 mana, this has to be that high. Yeah, that's just too much. So for me, that's actually an F. I don't think I will ever play this. Yeah, if I have to fill it, I will try to reach 9. And then if you can cast it, you potentially probably will win the game. But yeah, that's just asking too much.
Yeah, I gave it a D minus, but yeah, there's probably some way to build around this to get to 9, but it's like extreme difficult. Like you have to have a mix and be playing Geomancer and probably like Field Laborers or something. Like you have to have so many sources of ramp to be able to get to 9 mana. Like I don't know if anyone's ever cast this spell. We are going to move on to water then. Adept Illusionist is 2 mana, 2 power minion for 2 water threshold. It's an elite mortal. It has Spellcaster and it has tap. Search your hand, cemetery, or spellbook for another Adept Illusionist and summon it nearby. Shuffle if needed. So, if you don't have another Adept Illusionist, then this is just a 2 mana, 2 power spellcaster that's difficult to cast, and that's like a C minus probably. But if you get incredibly lucky and you actually open 2 of these, which I will say is not as easy as it is to do in the what is it? Brother Knight is the one in Arthurian Legends. Arthurian Legends, the set size is half the size, so it's way easier to assemble that. I've never seen anyone assemble this, but if you did manage to do that, it's probably like an A plus. Like it even comes back from the cemetery, so you just like will always have 2 of these in play. You've never seen it assembled either.
Nope. But I agree. Like if you have 2 of them, this is definitely an A plus. This card is so annoying. They always keep coming back and they search each other. And honestly, if you're talking about being lucky and have 2, why not have 3? Like you're not limited in draft to 3 of those, and then this is the nuts. Then it's A plus plus. So yeah, probably this is just a 2 mana, 2 threshold, 2 part minion. It is a spellcaster, so some cards with banishment, etc., could benefit, but overall, yeah, a polar bear is probably better than the Adept Illusionist.
I don't know if you know this, but I have a rule in my cube where if you draft one of these, you get the other one, and it's just like completely busted. So it's really fun that I can experience this in limited that way, but yeah, not in beta draft.
Next one, Polar Explorers 2 mana for 2 part minion as well. Elite Mortal for double water threshold. Allied units here can move as if the top and bottom edges of the realm were connected. I think we all know Sorcery that well by now, that the effect to suddenly connect top and bottom is very surprising and can really surprise your opponent. That comment is primarily important for constructed. In limited, it's another deal. You're fighting minion for minion, so you just want to get that minor edge where you can then start pushing your opponent. Polar Explorer does not have that effect. I don't think there's like, hey, I'm so behind, I need to be on my back road, and haha, suddenly I go the other way. It's also not a ruler of tool where basically everything can move. This guy really needs to be there to then connect that top and bottom. Once it crosses, it's not true anymore. Like if other minions cross, they don't have that ability anymore, so basically they can get stuck. So I would say, again, Polar Bears is probably better because it's easy to cast and he can at least move. The fact that you, like, what advantage is there to move suddenly from one side to the other? Yeah, I don't see it. It's too difficult, I think. So I just give it a C to C plus.
Okay, yeah, I gave it a C plus. At least there's the situation where, like, in constructed, if you have some minions in hand and then you see you draw a Ruler of Thule, then you start playing your minions in the back row. You can kind of do the same thing with this, where you're kind of telegraphing that you might have a Ruler of Thule or a Polar Explorers, but like, are they really going to play around that? Probably not. So yeah, you can maybe put 1 or 2 minions in the back row and then play this and move them over. It's like a surprise attack.
Yeah. But the big difference with the Ruler of Thule, it gives +1 to those minions, and that makes it effect. This one doesn't have it. So what is the difference between just attacking upwards than going to the other edge? And also, if Polar Explorer disappears, your minions are just stuck there. So, which is also more downside than upside. So I don't see it.
Yeah. Okay, Polymorph is 2 mana, 2 water threshold for an elite magic. Transform target nearby minion into a frog token. So this banishes the minion it targets, and then it becomes a frog token, which is a 0 power minion with submerge. Incredible flavor. Love this card, and it is extremely good. So yeah, it just banishes anything. You do have to be nearby, so it's a disintegrate for 1 less mana, and they get a frog, which the frogs aren't really going to matter that much. It might save them some life or something. So I give this a B minus. I guess I did give this a lower grade than disintegrate. Maybe it is a B or B plus. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't like Polymorph, but I mean, I think I'm a reasonable man. The effect is there. It kills an Infernal Legion, and then say no more. This is a good card. You just kill anything. But the nearby thing is annoying, I think. By then, double threshold is not an issue, probably. If you would have a Battle Mage, then of course it's amazing. So yeah, but having then also a frog token, they can block extra. It's annoying, those stupid frog tokens that suddenly you want to kill the Amazon War and there's that stupid frog that... So it's not nothing. So I would say if you kill a big beefy minion, then it's superb. If it's just to remove a 4-part minion, that is like still good enough. But yeah, so I agree with B minus. If I have other removal, I will always play the other removal. Next one, Replication. 2 mana for 1 water threshold, an elite magic. Conjure a copy of an artifact carried by the caster. So it's already difficult to have the right artifacts. I think we now are progressing through our card reviews. There are not that many artifacts that we want to play or I want to play. And if you then have an artifact, then can you actually be able to play replication? What happens if you draw replication before you draw your artifact that you want to copy? Then it's a dead card. If you then have your artifact and you don't have replication, it doesn't do anything, so then you have to draw it. But then you have two artifacts. If that artifact has its effect that already puts you so far behind, then you're just more behind. So this card is not happening. This is a D. I would never play this.
Yeah, especially since like the caster has to be holding it, and like normally I think the playable artifacts you probably want to be putting on your minions. So yeah, I give it an F. Sneak Thief is 2 mana for a 2-power minion. It has 2 water thresholds. It's an elite mortal. It has stealth, and then has a tap ability again. Let's see if it's better than Far East Assassin. Tap, steal an artifact out of the hands of another target unit here, and stay stealthed. Yeah, that is not really going to be relevant. Technically, it's upside. Like, maybe it happens sometime, but this is another 2 mana, 2-power minion that's hard to cast that has stealth. And I give that a C.
But the funny thing is that actually the Sneak Thief can actually steal the artifact from the assassin, although it is stealthed. So anyway, that is deep meta for you.
Oh, yeah.
2 mana for 2 vanilla. Double threshold, stealth. Yeah, the double threshold is an issue with me. So I give it a D. D+.
Fair.
Court Jester, 3 mana for 1-power minion, 1 water threshold, an elite mortal. At the end of your turn, each nearby avatar discards a random card. Honestly, I love these cards. The amount of decks I try to put this in, it never works. But like, I always think like having your opponent discarding cards is so annoying. Also, it is random. It is not by choice. So just having it happen once pays for the card itself. It's a 1-power minion, but even if I can cast it, they have to discard, and they can then remove it. I just was able to discard a random card. So that effect is amazing. So perhaps when the set will grow, this will become more playable. But I honestly, I built a deck with Core Justice and Swinner Troops and just tried to give it stealth, but it takes so much time to get there. But yeah, one day I will have a Core Justice deck. Unfortunately, I have other things to do when you get hit by lumbering giants and whatever. So unfortunately, it is a F to D-.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the dream, though. Give it stealth and then just have it sit next to your opponent's avatar. Like, that is completely busted. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I give this a D- as well. Maybe this will make it into my cube when there's enough stealth and different things like that. Okay, Mega Amoeba is next. This is 3 mana for a 0-power minion. It has 2 water threshold. It's an elite monster. Mega Amoeba moves by extending a single pseudopod from any part of itself. It occupies all locations it has ever occupied and has +1 power for each. So there's these little engulf tokens that came with beta, and that's just for this card. So kind of confusing to read, but yeah, if you just put a token on every location it's ever been on, and then you add those up, that's how much power it has. So it starts as a 1-power minion, really. And then if you can combo this with some movement effects, then it can get really broken. I'm kind of afraid to play this in limited, honestly, because it's just a 3 mana 1-power minion, and then like you move it, it's a 2-power minion, you move it again, now it's finally a 3-power minion, and you had to like probably lose a bunch of tempo to get it there. And then the fact that it's taking up all of this area means that it can kind of be attacked from anywhere, but it can also attack kind of in a lot of different places. Of course, if you get like 7 league boots on this, then it can just like move across the whole realm and get super huge. You can blink it, that gives it 1 extra power. Flanking maneuver gets it 1 extra power. But then there's also like grapple shot is crazy with this, right? So yeah, if you grapple shot this across the realm, and then it'll be like a 5-power minion or something really early. So there's some really cool things that you can do with it. Like I gave it a D, but like a builder on C, which really I think is like grapple shot or whirling blades or like some way to give it like at least +2 movement. Then it gets like it becomes like a real card, but you do have to be really careful where you play it. Like I probably just don't play this near the void where they can just play a desert and kill it. I don't know, super tricky card. I give it a D, but honestly, I'm probably gonna just put it into like most decks and just see if I can get it to work because it's just such a fun card. What do you grade it?
Yeah, that's exactly what you say. It's a fun card, and it's nice to build a Mega Mooba deck. In limited though, it's a D. It's or I once played against it, and then it was really like so Mega Mooba actually it starts as a baby, and you really have to take care of it and protect it, and then it starts growing, and then at a certain moment it really becomes so dangerous that you will die of it. And there are some cute interactions, but like it's a lot of effort. Just put a 5-part minion in your deck and you don't have to.
Yeah.
But I once had it that honestly, the thing was he had like 2 other blockers, like a turtle and whatever, and I could not reach it. It was cast at the back row, and yeah, suddenly it was a 4-part minion with some extra movement, blink stuff, and I was like, oh wow, this is really getting into out of hand. And I had to sacrifice. I had to play my own combat trick to remove a blocker, and then be able to kill it with 2 of my minions. So I had to pay a lot, but honestly, it is just too dangerous to play. So yeah. Next one, Silence 3 mana for 2 Water Elite Aura that says minions occupying affected sites lose all non-basic abilities. I cannot think of any card that you want to silence, really. This is a constructed card, and even there it's probably more sideboard card or for Enchantress. So not playable in limited. I give it an F.
Yeah, I also give it an F. Like the build around is waterbound stuff. But even then, I've had it totally backfire where my opponent played Silence and a waterbound minion, and then I played a minion that's supposed to have downside and it just doesn't. So yeah, it's a pretty tricky one. I would just not play it basically. Self-same Simulacrum is next. This is 4 mana for a 0 power minion. It is 2 water threshold. It's an elite fairy. It may be summoned as a basic copy of a nearby minion. So basic copy means any of the effects that were like currently on it aren't in effect anymore. It's as if you took like a new card basically and put it in place of this. So it's kind of weird that this is a fairy. I guess I had to give it some minion type, but it's just going to copy whatever minion type was on it previously. So it just clones something. And I don't know. At first I thought like, usually you're just going to clone like a 3 power minion probably. So maybe this isn't that great. But it does clone something on your side or their side. So you get whatever the best minion in play is. So it's kind of really good when you're behind or at parity. When you're ahead, I mean, you can probably clone whatever your best minion is. So I guess it's kind of just good at all parts of the game. Like it's never just going to not be able to clone something. So I'm not really sure what to put it at, but I guess I'm going to give it a B. I'm going to call it a pretty good card. What's your experience with it?
Mm-hmm. I think Self-Same Simulacrum does it all. It does so many different things. As you say, if you're ahead, it will just become your best minion, making your opponent's life more terrible and even putting more pressure. If you are, I mean, if your opponent surprises you with a charge minion, at the very minimum, you can probably copy the charge minion and kill it. So then it's more like a removal spell. If your opponent has a bomb, then suddenly you also have that bomb. So it is just always good. There are rare scenarios that there's so only 2-part minions and that you're duking it out. It's like, I really don't want to play this. Do I have to because I'm getting low on life? That is the only situation, I think, where it is a bit annoying. But overall, probably you are just casting something for 4 mana that is probably 5 or 6 mana. and then it's really good. So I honestly think Self-Same Simulacrum is at the B plus to A minus range. It's just so flexible. It's more a reactive card unless you are winning. Yeah, it makes me feel safe. Like if he has a mountain lion, whatever, charging in, killing something, at least you can do the same. So vampires, manticores, all this amazing annoying stuff. And even if like he has a thundering giant, or you can boost yours and kill your opponents with it, it's very flexible. I like the card. Next one is Yokai Kappa's 4 mana for a 3-part minion, double water threshold elite beast. It has discard a water side, untap Yokai Kappas, use only once per turn. I'm not a big fan of this card. It's 4 mana for a 3-part minion. So then it's really about what is the upside. Discarding a water side, that is not something I'm happy about. So it is more like, so when can you just discard a water side? Then it's with Spellslinger at turn 6, 7, 8, where you just have all the mana you want and you just have it to spare. Or that you can just kill something and that it makes sense to then discard a water side. But what are you killing? A 2-part minion? So honestly, there's a lot going on. If you can manipulate it, yes, but it's probably not worth it. So I have it as, I more see it as a 4 mana 3-part minion. So I have it as a C. Yeah, C.
Okay. Yeah, I gave it a C minus, but yeah, the ability really isn't anything special. But I guess it might come up sometimes. Abundance is 5 mana, 2 water threshold for an elite aura. Each affected site provides 1 additional mana. So on turn 5, you play this, and then your next turn you have, I don't know, 9 mana, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is unplayable outside of maybe Enchantress. But even then, you're like moving it onto your opponent's sites, and then they're gonna get a bunch of extra mana, which might not be great. So yeah, I just give this an F.
Yeah, I agree. The funny thing is like, hey, I can perhaps cast my Mountain Giant because it actually doubles the threshold also, so that facilitates it. But honestly, 5 mana casting cost. And also, it's not only that you lose the card itself, it's also your turn 5 that you just don't do anything. So yeah, if it would have said you immediately get that mana, then it would be different. Then if it would be like free-ish to cast on turn 5, and that you let something do and then has it effect to really cast the huge stuff. But yeah, who needs the 9 mana? Yeah. So yeah, I agree. It's enough. Next one, Unland Angler, 5 mana for 4-part minion, double the water threshold elite beast with submerge. At the start of your turn, if Unland Angler is submerged, force each enemy minion atop adjacent sites or to take a step toward this one. Every time I see the cards, I have to read it again because it's not easily worded. So very simply, this is a 5 mana 4-part minion. That is what it is. Most of the time you will just cast it above ground or water and just hit. It's not water bound, it is just a minion. It's a bit more expensive. It has submerge, which is not really that relevant. So it is that on its own would make it just a C plus cards. But there is one big but, and that is the effect. So at the start of your turn, you can just draw in minions. It is not actually a water side, so he has to be submerged. So that means he's out of the game. He will probably stay underwater for the effect. And when is the effect good? Well, if you play with Wave Shaper. If you play with Wave Shaper and you can start pulling in minions one on top of the other one, that is really annoying. So it has happened that you get tricked to this thing with tricks and that at least 2 minions gets bundled up together and then locked forever. The downside is, of course, that Unland Angler has to be submerged and probably stay there if you want to draw in others to protect it a little bit. So yeah, it's a bit far-fetched, then it's a bit better. So I just give it a C plus or a build around B.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just giving it a C plus. There's some build around potential there, but yeah, that's Azurage Caravan is basically the same card as this in my eyes. Ghost Ship is 6 mana for a 5 power minion with 1 water threshold. It's an elite spirit. It has Void Walk, and whenever Ghost Ship enters a site from the void, you may summon a spirit from any cemetery to its location. So there are actually enough spirits, I think, that you can actually trigger this and have it matter. The really unfortunate thing about this card, though, is that if it's in the void next to your opponent's site, they can put a site on top of this and it does not trigger, which I don't really understand why it doesn't trigger, honestly, but that's the ruling, I guess. So yeah, unfortunately, like to actually get the trigger, you would have to put this next to your own site so that it can leave the void on your side. You can actually do the thing. And in that case, you're also not really doing, you know, you're not attacking when you're doing that. So then you're just playing a 6 mana minion out of range of everything else. And then, you know, you want your 5 power minion to be in play actually doing combat things. So I don't think the trigger is really going to matter very often. It's mostly just a 6 mana 5 power minion that maybe you do still want to play it in the void next to your opponent's site, even if they do play a site on top of it and fizzle the cool trigger that it has. That's still some upside. So all that to say, I give this a B. It's just a little bit worse than like an Amazon Warriors, but 5 power is a lot still.
Yeah, it's also in water, and it's only the 1 threshold. So yeah, we prefer 5 for 5, but 6 for 5 is still completely okay. I mean, 5-powered minions are beefy. So I think by definition, then Ghost Ship is an okay to good card. The Void Walk is just extra. Like you can cast it near your opponent quite safely, or they have to do the effort to it. And it's not that difficult to get spirits like Headless Hounds. But yeah, there are many spirits actually. And if you can trigger it, like sometimes you can actually cast it as defense into your own void, and your opponent, suddenly there is a 5-part minion. It then enters and suddenly a Headless Hound appears, and yeah, that is really annoying. So without upside, I guess it is like a B. But if you have like 2 good spirits and it just happens to happen, then it even goes higher. So I think B is solid. Next one is One Hydra, 6 mana for 6-part minion with 1 water threshold. It's an elite monster and it is immune to non-lethal damage. Honestly, this is one of my favorite cards of the whole of Sorcery. I think the art with the colors, I mean, I like it. It's amazing cards, and it's not only beautiful and amazing. It's really also a killer. It is easily castable with a 1 water threshold, so you can just splash it if you get it. 6 is a lot, but you get a lot. 6-part minion hits hard, and they also got a buff with the new ruling, because before lethal would means if he would get 6 damage in 1 blow, whether it's by a major explosion or just with a Cyclops that attacks it, it would die, and then it would have died. That is not the case anymore. Now it really has to have a card that says lethal and lethal damage, otherwise it just doesn't die anymore. The card is so annoying because it hits so hard, you cannot double block it, you cannot get rid of it. So you really have to have a solution, or like, yeah, if you're behind, then it's amazing blocker, of course, and then potentially it will not it will not turn the whole game around, but yeah, it's everything that I want from such a beefy minion. So I give it A minus is probably right.
Okay. Yeah, this card's crazy. I don't know why they changed the ruling. I guess it does make it like more clear. Like non-lethal means not lethal, like literally. So But yeah, it's just basically impossible to kill. Like you have to use one of the hard removal spells, Bury or something, or you have to literally have like Poison Nova or a Scorpion or something like that to kill it. So I gave it an A plus, but it's just the stickiest of all minions. As long as you're not like literally about to die, this is just going to stabilize the board and just win you the game. So
Yeah, the reason I don't go that far is because it doesn't have an immediate impact. So it doesn't have an effect when it comes into play. But yeah, all the rest that you say is completely true.
Okay, Wrath of the Sea is next. It is 7 mana, 2 water threshold for an elite magic. Flood all sites adjacent to a body of water this turn, then submerge all minions and artifacts on water. So this is a really confusing card. People play it a bunch of different ways, but I think I know the official ruling. So it's you flood all sites adjacent to a body of water this turn. So you can read that as every body of water, you flood all the adjacent sites, and then you submerge everything on water. Or you can read it as you flood all sites adjacent to a body of water, and then you choose one body of water, and then it floods everything nearby, and then submerges things. So the actual ruling is you don't choose anything. You just cast a spell, and then all sites near any water is flooded, and then everything that's in water at that point gets submerged. So it's much better that way. So yeah, it really does just wipe the board. Like if there's a large body of water, or even if there's just like a few small single sites, it just submerges everything near anything that's water. So yeah, it is a pretty legit board wipe, I think. Obviously, the only hard part is getting to 7 mana, but if you do that and you're playing, if you have 3 or 4 water sites in play, then you probably just killed all of their minions. So I give this a B plus. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a board wipe, and it's a very strong board wipe. So the only downside I would say is it will also kill your own minions unless they have submerged. And also, if they have submerged, they actually are submerged. So basically, you're not doing anything that turn unless you are on your opponent's sides. They then get submerged and they can resurface and hit. So that's not that easy. What bothers me, like if we would compare to Death Dealer, for instance, which is also a complete wipe, is the Death Dealer is a 4-part minion that is then on the board. Here, you don't have anything in play except for your submerged minions. So let's say it's a reset. So, or you have saved up minions because you know that you will have a Wrath of the Sea, and then you gain advantage. But if this is like your emergency resets, and you lose all your minions, then basically it's your opponent's turn. He can cast a minion and you're still behind. So that's a bit the tricky part of the Wrath of the Sea. The effect itself is amazing. Board wipes are amazing, but it can be that it's like, okay, I just gained a bit of time, but here we go again. So yeah, I agree. The effect is good. You should hold minions back so you can get that advantage and get faster back into the game. Otherwise, it's not that amazing. So yeah, if you play it smart, it probably goes to the B plus. 7 mana is doable to get there, and then it can also be a complete blowout for your opponent if you don't expect this to just everything die at the same time. Also an extra, because I bought like a print of this, take the time, if you haven't, to really look at the sea itself, because especially the wave, it is full of spirits or ghosts or whatever. The artwork is really special. Next one, Diluvian Kraken, 8 mana for an 8-part minion for 3 water threshold, an elite monster with submerge, and then it has the ability tap surface to strike each other unit nearby. 8 for 8, we've been there. This one is again a bit different. You can cast this one submerged and then use its tap ability. It will surface and then strike each other, which is a big area that it will deal damage to. On the other hand, it is a very expensive minion that then has to go submerged, which means it also cannot really block. And then the turn after, when everybody has seen it, it will then has its potential effect. Probably you just want to deal 8 damage, so it's more like a regular 8-powered minion, which is more than like the worm that we're talking about. So unfortunately, I don't think it's good enough. So yeah, I think I would just go for where to place it. Yeah, C plus, I guess. I still like it, or try to like it, but yeah, very difficult to really get extra value out of it.
Yeah, I gave it a C to like C plus if you have some ways to ramp into it, Geomancer and Line Surveyors and whatnot. Yeah, unfortunately, like it also hits your units, so you have to like move your avatar out of the way because it's probably going to be nearby your avatar. So yeah, looks amazing, but unfortunately isn't as strong as it really looks. Okay, Highland Falconer is next. This is a 2 mana, 1 air threshold, 1 power minion. It's an elite mortal. It has Genesis. You may search your hand and spellbook for a beast with airborne and mana cost 2 or less and summon it here. Shuffle if needed. So if you don't have a beast, obviously this is just a 2 mana, 1 power minion, so that's like a D. But if you have, so I looked up the beast with airborne, so it's Blood Ravens, which is like a D. We don't like that card. But then there's also Peliburi Bats and Sacred Scarabs. So both of those cards are quite good. So if you have one of those, this is probably like a B minus. But if you don't, then it's just like a D minus, and you just don't play it.
Yeah, as you say, those are the 2 cards. Both of them are good. And of course, then you have a 2 mana for 3-powered minion, or 2 mana for a 1-powered minion with a grenade, flying grenade. So it all depends on the statistics, right? Like if you have 1 bat and 1 falconer, like if you draw the falconer first, then you're basically screwed. If you have 2 beasts in your deck, then it's 2 out of 3. So I like it, but you really have to draft the right cards. Next one, Recurring Spectre, 2 mana for a 1-powered minion with 1 air threshold. An elite spirit which cannot defend, may be cast from your cemetery. So for me, this card is completely unplayable in Limited, just for the sole reason that the 1 power is not enough. Yes, every time it dies, you can just cast it back. But if you even would compare it to a 1-power unblockable, even then it's still not an amazing card. If it would be able to block, that would be a different story, because then of course it's like the Sir Tum-Tum, then it's actually a very good card, but just it's only offensive, and it also costs 2 mana, which is not neglectable. So for me, unplayable, so F.
Yeah, we'll never play a 2 mana, 1 power minion, and the fact that you can cast it as many times as you want really doesn't change this card at all. So yeah, I give it a D. Brill Revenant is a 2 mana, 1 air threshold, 1 power elite spirit. It has Voidwalk, and it has the activated ability, pay 1 mana, gain 1+1 power this turn. So this is a card I was really confused about. I wasn't really sure if I should like it or not. I have played it a couple times. I had it in my limited championship deck. And I think it's actually better than I would have expected it to be. So I gave it a C plus. I don't think it's like an amazing card, because sometimes it will just randomly die to a desert, or like, yeah, if you're behind, then you probably can't really play this anywhere too safe. I guess it does have Voidwalk, so that mitigates it a little bit. But I have also had this where you play it and you have like 4 or 5 mana, and your opponent kind of has to just spend a removal spell to kill this stupid minion, because otherwise you're just gonna like dump a bunch of mana into it and kill their thing, or just deal a bunch of damage. So I think it's a real card. I give it a C plus. What do you give it?
I give it a D. I try to play with it. So the funny thing about this card, it's cheap, or it seems cheap, but it's the other way around actually. So for me, this is playable around turn 8, or if you have like 7-8 mana. So what you want to do is cast it in the void, where it's a bit more safe, but of course you want to be able to attack his side, so you're always next to his side. So if he has a Desert, or if he just plays a minion with the Burning Hands, it is so easy to kill, actually. So that's why later in the game, when removal is already spent a little, then it can be a surprise somewhere far, and then it could hit for 8, let's say. But then again, the next turn, it's just a 1-part minion. So again, easy to kill, but of course they have to kill it. But so these are a lot of requirements before it's any good. So yeah, just give me a normal minion. And so it has a potential, but I always, when I played it, I was always stuck with it, or it just died too easily. Next one, Candle Mass Monks, 3 mana for a 2-part minion with 1 air threshold, elite mortals with a dead right ability, proceed to the end phase. So this is definitely a combo card, I would imagine, because you do not want to go to your end phase in your turn, so it's really for your opponent. So then the combo is with Grave Golem, of course. So if you can draft a Grave Golem and the Monks, but yeah, what are the odds that you have both in your hand to just then take 1 turn? So yeah, for me, unplayable. Just an F.
Yeah, I give it a D+, but that's basically just because it's a 3 mana 2-power minion, which you don't really want in your deck, but at least it does something. Yeah, the proceed to end phase doesn't really do anything, unfortunately. Chaos Twister is 4 mana, 2 air threshold for an elite magic. Place target minion on the back of your hand, then blow it off from a height of at least 1 foot. Deal damage equal to its power to each unit atop the site it lands on, including itself. So I guess this is kind of different in paper than it is on TTS, but so in paper, if you draft this, you should probably just like go into the corner of the room and just like practice blowing a card off of the back of your hand. And I have actually done that. I considered in the Crossroads tournament playing a Chaos Twister, so I like did a bunch of practice and then I ended up not playing the card. But yeah, I think it's like not that difficult. Like if you just spend like 10 minutes even just practicing this, like you should have like a 90% hit rate or something, getting it to where you want it to land. So in that case, like if you can 90% of the time just blow their biggest minion onto their second biggest minion and kill both of them for 4 mana, this card's just an A. On TTS, you like click a button and it tells you where the card goes, and it's like more likely to land on the space, but it's not 90%. It's like 50% or something. So on TTS, this card is quite a bit worse, but it's still like super solid. Like it at least kills the thing that you targeted with it. It can backfire. It can land on your avatar or your own minions or whatever, but you just have to be careful where you put it and have a little bit of dexterity, I guess, and this card will be amazing. So I give it like a B+, which is kind of like in between the paper grade, which is like an A, and the TTS grade, which I guess is like a B+ anyway. So what do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. I would not consider the TTS grade, which is funny because yeah, it's really a lot more unreliable on TTS. But Chaos Twister is a hot card. This has been from the start. This is premium removal. It is not 2 steps away. It's only 4 mana. It deals with any minion. The only thing that you have to watch out is that it doesn't land outside the board, because then the card fizzles. But if you just hit the void, the minion will be banished. So it has the potential to deal damage to itself, which always kills it more or less, unless you are playing with Source. But then it can probably also remove another minion or even deal damage to the avatar. So that is just insane. So for me, Chaos Twisters is definitely an A+. This is one of the best cards in the whole set. There is some hate for this card as well. I only have love for this card. It reminds me of Chaos Twister, which is like, I love the concept. And as you say, I remember fondly a conversation that we had with many players at 2 a.m. after Sorcery Fest. And we spent like 10 minutes talking about how you would hold your hand and how you could manipulate. So I love the cards. A+. Next one, Unlikely Alliance. 4 mana, 1 air threshold, elite magic. Draw a card for each rarity among allied minions. So in limited play, and probably constructed, but limited, it's not really playable. It's 4 mana, which is not cheap. So it is, you cannot like play 2 minions or cards and then cast Unlikely Alliance to get 2 to 3 cards. So it's a bit too costly. But the effect of the cards is, of course, very strong. You have the potential to draw 4 cards for 4 mana. So I'm not saying someday perhaps this is actually playable and actually a good card, but a limited as it stands today, not playable. So I give it a D-.
Yeah, I give it a D- as well, but I think if you can consistently draw 2 cards with this, then maybe it's like a D+. Like I could maybe see playing it if you just really had a lot of exceptionals and elites and stuff. But most of your decks are going to be like 80% of your minions are ordinaries or something, so it's not really playable in that case. Zephyran Airship is next. It is 4 mana for a 3 power, 1 air threshold elite mortal. Doesn't really look like a mortal, but similar to how Pirate Ships is a mortal. This is a mortal. It has airborne, it movement +2. It may carry any number of allied minions. So similar to what I talked about with Hast Eagle in the exceptional review, you can play this and then have it pick up a bunch of minions, and then those minions will also get airborne. I don't think they get the movement +2. I think they just get the airborne, but that's kind of cool. And then obviously you can, like, movement +2 plus airborne is incredible. Like you can move wherever you want on the whole board with this and just like transport all of your minions. So really cool flavor. You have to kind of put all your stuff in one basket, and that's not great. Like, especially since this is 3 power, you might just get blown up by minor explosion. But I still think this is a pretty solid card. Like there's a lot of abilities that are kind of relevant. So I give this a B-. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit higher. I really love everything of this card from the start. I really love the art. The balloon is amazing. The name is amazing. 4 mana for 3 power. That is a bit below the stat line. Then I would say Plume Pegasus is better, 3 for 3 airborne. But the movement +2, I mean, we've talked many times about movement. Like, the issue with the airship is to cast it, to get it to cast. But 4 mana, turn 4, it's not that difficult. It's easy to kill it with lightning bolts, etc. But if it can do its thing, it is really amazing. This card really facilitates all your ranged minions. It facilitates all your heavy hitters, and basically it can move to anywhere and it can transport anything. So yeah, if your opponent cannot remove this and you are just in battle modus, this will be very dominant. Also, if you're in defense modus, it can block anything anywhere. So every 2-part minion cannot really attack because when you absorb 2 damage, it flies. It's not easy attackable. So yeah, I think the airship is, I really like playing with it. So it's not a bomb, so I don't go to the A level, but it's definitely a B+ for me. Next one, East-West Dragon, 5 mana for 4-powered elite dragon for 2 air threshold, airborne and moves freely sideways. This is amazing cards. 4 mana for 3 for the airship, that's questionable, but 5 mana for 4 power airborne is really good. But just the ability to move freely sideways, that is just amazing. So it literally means that you can block or attack in any way. So if you move 5 locations to the right or left, that is not considered as movement. It's so you can attack and diagonally, so your reach is so far. What I really like about East-West Dragon is you really can cast it somewhere in the corner and it's actually able to defend anywhere on that line, and even one step further. So not to be underestimated. I give it probably also B+ to A-, because in the end it is still just a minion of 4 power, which you can kill with an arc lightning, etc. But yeah, I love having this in my deck.
Yeah, I give it an A-. I also had this in my limited championship deck, and it was a complete bomb. Hounds of Ondoros is 5 mana for a 4 power, 2 air threshold, elite beast. It has airborne, burrowing, submerge, and voidwalk. and nearby enemies permanently lose stealth. So 5 mana, 4 power airborne, basically, and then it has the upside of like you can't bury it, you can't drown it. It can also go into the void. I've had this come up where if it's in the void and it moves into a site, because it has burrowing and submerge, it can actually go under the site when it enters. That's kind of cool. Not going to come up very often. I think it was this weird situation where I had like a Poison Nova or something, and I wanted to hide it under a site. But yeah, and then the stealth ability, like sometimes that'll matter too, but we love 5 mana for 4 power airborne, like we just talked about. So I'm actually just going to give this the same grade. I'm going to give it an A-.
It's a 5 mana, 4 power airborne, so that's already so strong. But so if it's attacking, it's just an airborne attacking minion, which can go anywhere. That is very good. But in defense, the hounds really solve most of the problems. If there is like a spider underground or a troll or whatever, whether it's submerged or burrowing, it can deal with it. If somebody has gotten something, or let's say you have a good artifact, they buried it or it was caved in and underground, you can go and search it. So the hounds just provide many solutions to potential problems. If you don't need them, you don't need them, then it's just a 4 powered airborne minion. And honestly, also the losing stealth is not to be forgotten, because in RTO Legends, a lot of stuff works with stealth. So yeah, Hans is just a great card. Next one, Grandmaster Wizard, 6 mana for a 0 powered minion with 2 air threshold, an elite mortal, also a spellcaster with the Genesis ability of drawing 3 cards, drawing 3 spells. Anytime that I hear draw 3 spells, fun memories. But I think Grandmaster Wizard is very well balanced. It is not cheap. It costs 6 mana, and often it also costs you a full turn to then get those 3 spells. For newer players, 0 power does not mean it dies the moment it comes into play. It really adds 1 life, but it will not deal damage. So the good thing is you draw 3 spells and you can just block 1 time. That is often how that works. Spellcaster might be an upside, but now we come to the big but. Drawing 3 spells is amazing. It really has a big impact on the game. If you get your 3 spells, the game continues. You actually are so far ahead that you will probably have a good potential to win. But it's that 6 mana that is really an issue, because especially with RTO Legends, the game goes so quickly that often not doing anything in turn 6, apart from gaining a huge advantage, is sometimes backbreaking and puts you so far behind. So the times that I lost with a Grandmaster Wizard in my hand, or that I cast it and I lost tempo and therefore I lost, even when I got the cards that it just was not fast enough. So very strangely, I think I will still put it in my deck, but I really now treat it like an 8 mana minion. Like, you really have to be able to work towards it, be defensive, and so you are sure that the advantage that you get with the 3 spells will have its effect. So I would, if I'm in an aggressive deck, I really would cut it. So it's for me actually a build around A, or as a card, I think it's like a C to C plus, which is very strange to say. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. I mean, I can't say that I will ever not put this in my deck when I have the option. Just pay 6 mana, draw 3 cards is just so tempting. I can't just not do that. So, yeah. So my grade, I gave it a B, right in between your like build around and like regular grade. So yeah, I'm basically never cutting this from a deck. But yeah, it would be nice to build toward it, have Geomancer or something. But realistically, I'm just gonna cram this in any deck, and like hopefully the fact that he can chump block once buys you a little bit of the time that you need to actually deploy those 3 spells that you drew off of this. And yeah, if that ever happens, you probably just win the game. So yeah, tricky card. It's not like an A plus like Morgana or anything. Definitely much worse, but very solid. And yeah, the caveat of like if you are playing like 1 beta, 2 Arthurian Legends, like any card that costs like 6 or more mana probably gets bumped down a little bit just because that format is so fast, but beta is slower. I think you can get away with putting this in most decks.
Honestly, if I open this in my pick one or pack one, pick one, and I can take an amazing, like an Amazon War or a Sandworm, I think I would pick those ones. So I know that my player to the left of me is in air.
Yeah. But then you could build around it. But yeah,
True.
maybe. Okay, Nimbus Djinn is next. This is 6 mana for a 4 power, 2 air threshold, elite spirit. It has airborne and it has discard a spell, deal 3 damage to another random unit here. So we see this in like Death Speaker combo, or there's Summoning Sphere plus Nimbus Djinn, and then you discard a bunch of cards and put them on Death's Door. So yeah, importantly, it's not limited to 1 card. You can just dump your whole hand and deal a bunch of damage if it's on top of their avatar. So huge upside. 6 mana for 4 power isn't as good as 5 mana for 4 power, obviously, but it's still very solid. Like it definitely attacks and blocks like a legit minion. So I'm pretty happy to have this in any air deck. So I'm giving it an A. What do you think?
Yeah, Nimbus Djinn is busted. Just the fact that, so the 6 for 4 is completely okay, but the fact that you cast it on your side with potentially a minion on top of it, like, can you imagine that first you play a desert, you ping for 1, you cast Nimbus Djinn, discard a card, and kill a minion? That is how crazy this card is. And also it's airborne, so it flies in anywhere, so all 3-part minions, they have to run away for their life. And also if you reach your opponent, which often is in 2 steps, it can also deal the death blow. So Nimbus Djinn, yeah, solid cards. Next one, Puppet Master, 6 mana for a 1-part minion, 2 air threshold for an elite spirit with airborne, luckily. Genesis ability, gain control of all tapped minions here until Puppet Master leaves the realm. So it's like a control effect that you steal your opponent's minions, but it only has the 1 power. So luckily it's airborne, so it's not that easy to kill, but with spells, any spells will do. So it's a bit tricky because on the one hand, you actually gain control of a tapped minion. It's really annoying because they have to be on your sides because you have to cast Puppet Master on your side, so you're probably already getting a bit of damage. Then, of course, if it's their turn and they can remove it, at least you nullified that minion for 1 turn. And of course, they have to spend mana on this. They have to kill it if they can. So Puppet Master is completely unreliable, but the effect does its thing. So I tend to not put it in my deck if I have other cards. If I really have 23 playables, I don't mind putting a Puppet Master in my deck, but I do not have high expectations for it. So it is definitely still a B- card, I think, for me, although I rather play anything that is just more trustworthy.
Okay.
So it's a bit strange of a grading, I know.
Yeah,
but,
interesting. Yeah, so I'm giving it a D. Yeah, just the fact that it has 1 power, like, and it's this situational thing. Like they have to be on your side, they have to be tapped, and then like, you gain control of them, but then they don't actually do anything until your next turn. Yeah, that all adds up to just be like a little bit too much to set up.
Yeah, I agree, but so the 6 mana is actually an advantage because by then the game is evolved already. So Red Breast Robins and Burning Hands, you see them, or they have to waste it on the Puppet Master. So I think it's still playable, but I understand your grading.
Riddle Sphinx is next. This is 6 mana for a 4 power, 1 air threshold elite Sphinx. It has airborne, and it has Genesis. Look at your topmost spell. You may put it on the bottom of your spell book. Then an opponent may exchange your top and bottom spell. Draw a card. So This is my favorite card in Sorcery. Yeah, I just love this card so much because there's this awesome little riddle, and it's actually like a riddle you have to figure out. So the really important thing about this card is that you have to remember what are the cards that I put at the bottom of my deck when I did my mulligans. So you mulligan like a 6 or 7 mana spell, and then at some point you draw your Riddle Sphinx, and you look at your top spell, but the card that you see on the top of your deck isn't really the card that you have to be thinking about. It's the card that's on the bottom of your deck. There's a difference between what you do and what your opponent does. So what you do is you put the card from the top on the bottom, and what they do is they rearrange the top and the bottom. So those are two very different things. If the card at the beginning of the game that you mulliganed, that you know is the bottom card, if that's a card that you want to draw, then you should not put the top card onto the bottom, because then there's no chance that you're going to draw the card that's on the bottom. It's really just like, do you want to draw the bottom card? It has nothing to do with the card that you actually look at. So it's kind of funny. And then, yeah, if you don't want to draw that card, then you should put the card on the bottom, because then there's no chance that you draw that card. Anyway, all that to say, and it's on an incredible body. I mean, 6 mana, 4 power airborne draw card is just incredible. So I give this an A-. What do you think?
Yeah, same. This card is so amazing. And the funny thing is, like, yes, there is a riddle, but as your opponent, you have no clue, you have no information. So it's completely random, but there's always like this, wow, would it be, is he playing me? But you have no idea, it's just random. So very funny card, actually. As you say, a 4-powered airborne minion, even if it's for 6, and it's only 1 threshold, so it's actually very easily castable or splashable. Yeah, I give it a solid A. You just draw a card for that kind of body. That's amazing. Next one, Sky Baron, 6 mana for a 6-part minion for 2 air threshold and elite spirit with airborne. It has the ability all other minions lose airborne, so he's the master of the sky, which also is for your minions. So sometimes you also lose your other, like cloud spirits, etc., or tooth fairies fall to the ground, so don't forget that. But 6 for 6 is completely on point, so that's already amazing. But then this guy has airborne, and then if your opponent would have airborne to deal with it, so yeah, Skyborn, so it is expensive, but yeah, what do you want? This is an amazing card. So I also would give it an A. I would always play this and be happy to do so.
Yeah, definitely an A. I could even see giving this an A+, just because like it has airborne, like you're gonna play it and be able to block with it, so it kind of affects the board really well the turn that you play it still. But yeah, incredible card for sure. Okay, Nightmare is 7 mana for a 6 power, 2 air threshold, elite undead. At the end of your turn, for each enemy minion here, you may push it to an adjacent location or void. So yeah, this is like maybe the only card that can push something from the surface of a site into the void. And it's for each enemy here, so technically I suppose you could have a situation where they have 2 minions on your site next to the void, and you can play this and get a 2-for-1, or I guess a 3-for-1. So that's pretty amazing. It is at the end of your turn, so you can't just like set up some awesome attack with this, really. It's just kind of pushing them. So outside of the like pushing them into the void situation, it's still upside, but it's not like incredible. I don't know. I guess I give this a B. It's definitely good. I definitely put it in my deck, but I don't know. I've never actually seen something get pushed into the void with this, but I haven't seen this in play very much. So, do you have more experience with it?
I do, and I'm higher on this card. For me, it's more an A-, and the minus more because it's expensive. So it is difficult to cast, but it is a 6-part minion. Like, you can just kill your opponent with a 6-part minion, and just the option to push other stuff around is also nothing. So in best case, it pushes something in the void, and because it's 7 mana, you can time it a little bit. You can shape your realm a bit towards it as well. And if you can just cast it and remove a minion, then this card is amazing. So in worst, it's an expensive 6-part minion, which is still acceptable. At best, you just kill a minion So yeah, I think Nightmare is actually a scary card. So A minus, B plus 100%, but I'm more on the A minus. All right, next are the artifacts. The first one is the Mix series. So we start with Mix Air. It's a 1 mana elite potion that says sacrifice Mix Air. This turn bears next air spell, requires no threshold and costs 3 less to cost. I don't know if all the mixes get the same grade, but so the effect is very similar. So the amazing thing about the mixes is that you do not require thresholds. So it could be a solution, like if you're in a 3-element deck and you have a Stew Worm or an Infernal Legion, and then the mix can solve all your problems for this. And also, potentially, you cast it on turn 4, which is crazy fast. So, but I tend to dislike these kinds of cards just for the sole reason, like if you draw this on turn 6, you just don't need it anymore. Perhaps you can still make use of it, but the impact is not there. So if you have it on turn 1, if you have an amazing creature that really can boost, so then it gains tempo, then potentially it is good enough to gain so much tempo and advantage that it will win you the game. But it has to compensate for full cards. So that means that the minion that you're casting at least should kill one stuff for rather easily, and then your par. So the worst thing is that can happen is turn 4, you cast your Infernal Legion, and they just play Bury. And then basically you had lost 2 cards, and you also lost one of your best minions, which sometimes if you cast them later in the game, they were already forced to cast that Bury on something else, and so giving a better chance for your elite or legion to survive. So it's very tricky. So all of this together, I never play with them. Perhaps I should, but I think it's too high the risk with not enough impact. I rather have a solid curve to 6 power than just having a one-shot and hope that it will then succeed. What about you, Mitch?
Yeah, so I guess just to say the names of the other ones. So the other ones are Mix Aqua, Mix Ignis, and Mix Terra, and they all do the same thing, but for a different element. But we're going to grade them all, I think, the same. So Air has the most common target, which is Highland Clansman. As far as like expensive stuff that you want to get out early. So that's pretty powerful. And it does satisfy the requirement that you set out, which is like you want to be able to cast it and then immediately kill their thing with it, or like make sure you at least get like a 2-for-2 with your opponent if they end up just untapping and killing it. And then Earth has like the most like really exciting targets. Like it has a bunch of like 8 drops and stuff. Like if you mix out a whatever, the Midland Army or whatever, or a King of the Realm, something crazy like that. That can be really cool. I think the water ones like look really good, but aren't really that exciting. There's obviously some good fire ones. Like so many of the fire minions in this review, we gave an A or like a B plus. So obviously some of those can be quite good, and they're pretty expensive. So it fits good into that. I think in the average deck where you just have like a normal curve, like you have like a couple 5 drops and like 1 or 2 6 drops. I think this is like a D plus still. Like I'm gonna play it over some like junky minion that I don't really want in my deck, but the chances that it actually makes the deck aren't super high still. But if you do have some like legit targets, like if you're in Air and you have the Air mix and you have like 2 Highland Clansmen, then I'm probably putting it in the deck, but it's still like a C minus. Like I'm not slamming this. And part of the reason why I also haven't really played this at all in limited outside of Cube is that like other people are just going to take it higher than me. Honestly, like it's just not as good as it looks. Like it's not a Black Lotus or a Dark Ritual. Like it just does the thing sometimes and it'll be great. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird card. Like maybe it is better than we think it is. And getting out like a 6 drop on turn 3 is going to just win the game a lot of the time. But
it's what difference is also like, let's say you have a brown bear and you cast a Mixed Terra turn 1, and then turn 2 you cast the brown bear. You lose 1 mana, but okay, you have a beefy minion. But if you're on the play, your opponent will just cast his side sideways. And then you have to have another side. The brown bears needs to move. So yeah, it just it's not there. So I have it on D.
All right. Magellan Globe is next. It is a 2-mana elite relic. Opposite edges of the realm are connected. So it's like the Ruler of Thule Polar Explorer thing where they can go top to bottom, but this also goes side to side. That's not worth a card though, so I'm just going to give it an F.
Agreed. Next one, Magnetic Muzzle, 2 mana for an elite relic. Bear loses all non-basic abilities and can't drop Magnetic Muzzle. At the end of each player's turn, if Magnetic Muzzle is abandoned, that player attaches it to a nearby minion. Completely unplayable. So yeah, which minion has so crazy abilities that you're okay with it, that it just doesn't have the ability. So let's say Nimbus Djinn, a 4 airborne, can discard cards, you muzzle it, okay, but then you still have to deal with a 4-part minion. And then let's say that you're able to kill it and the muzzle randomly goes somewhere, so it also could affect you. So yeah, it's an F, not.
Yeah, I agree. It keeps its basic abilities, so it just doesn't really do that much. All-Terrain Investments is 3 mana for an elite armor. Bear has Burrowing, Submerge, and Voidwalk if it's a minion. This is also an F. We don't even bump up cards like half a letter grade for having Burrowing or Submerge, so it's definitely not worth a whole card.
Next one, Angel's Egg, 3 mana for an elite relic. At the end of each turn, the control of Angel's Egg side heals 1 life. Tricky cards. Overall, I'm not a fan. I was a fan. The effect is there. Basically, you get 2 life each round, which is a lot. So what an Angel's Egg does, it stalls the game. It just gives you probably overall, it will gain you 4 to 5 extra turns. But the reality is that you also are investing a full card in this. And with Spellslinger, cards are precious. And so if your opponent has a 3 or 4-part minion, he will deal that damage. You gain 2 life, but he hits for 3. So ultimately, this will not save you. Also, if you are in the fight already and you are at 4 or 5 lives and then you draw the Angel's Egg, it's probably too late. Perhaps actually it could be what you just need. If you're stalling out, you go back up. So yeah, I played multiple times with it, but I don't put it in my deck anymore. I just rather have a good minion to play. So I still probably give it a C. I mean, it's still, the effect is still strong. Or it's more like a build round. If you really have to get to your high value thing, then this will do it. But yeah, you really also have to be able to understand that you're sacrificing a card for this.
Yeah, most of my experience with this is playing it in Cube, and it's really good in Cube, I think.
Of course.
But yeah, in regular limited, I will give it a C, but I'll give it a build around like B-. Like, I think if you do have like a really high curve, or even in some aggressive decks, like if you're just curving out and you're like, if you're just like racing with your opponent, then if you play an Angel's Egg, like this is impossible to race. But then you're down a card. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it does just fit into most decks and it'll be fine, but it'll be a lot better when you build around it.
Yeah, so there I don't agree. I would not just put it in my deck. Then it's not good enough for me. But.
Okay, Belfry is 3 mana for an elite monument. At the end of your turn, untap all nearby allies. Untapping, I don't think is worth a full card. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to give this a D-. Is there any use case for this?
So the funny thing is, I never ever have seen this on the boards. I don't think anybody ever played this. Now, I must admit that, like, which one is it? Sergey Harris that untaps, or with the Plume Pixies? Like, the effect of untapping your allies is actually strong. but having a full card for this is just not worth it. So yeah, it's an F. Black Obelisk 3 mana, an elite monument. Black Obelisk site has at the start of your turn lose 2 life and gain 2 this turn. I have stared at this card for so many times, and I have thought of any possibility I could really get this, because honestly, if you think other games like Mana Crypt, 2 mana, that is just insane. Going for 3 mana to 6 mana, that is like, how can this card not be good? That is just insane. But it's, again, you have to sacrifice a card for this. So you really have to play it on turn 3. And if your opponent was on the play and they cost 3-part minion, and then the next turn a 4th-part minion, and you just have a Black Obelisk that deals damage to you, you're not in a good spot. So in constructed... in cube, yes, but just in limited as a random card, unplayable, unfortunately. If you really have 6-part minions all around, and perhaps you can combine it with laborers for all, like if this is your concept, then potentially there is a build around great somewhere there, but I've never seen it. So.
Yeah, I give this an F as well, but in cube it's actually a real thing, and one of my favorite decks I drafted, I had a Black Obelisk, and it was pretty sick. But yeah, in cube you can have just like 6 spells that cost 6 to 8 mana, and in limited normal, you just can't even possibly do that. Okay, Devil's Egg is next. This is 3 mana for an elite relic, and it's the opposite of Angel's Egg. At the end of each turn, the controller of Devil's Egg's site loses 1 life. So you could maybe put this, I mean, you could just cast it on your minion that's on their side of the board, and then hopefully it pings away for a while. Or if you have a burrowed minion, you could burrow it under their site, potentially. I don't know. I think Angel's Egg is better. I'm going to give this a D+. Do you have any experience with this in Limited?
That's funny. I'm the other way around. I think Devil's Egg is better than Angel's Egg because the conceptual or what it should do is way more clear. This is really to suffocate your opponent. So this is really an aggro card. But again, you're sacrificing a minion for it. But like a minion that deals like 3, 4, 5 damage, and given the right tempo, this is definitely what Devil's Egg will do. But you have to make sure that you can get him to death's door, because if you cannot overpower him, this egg will come back to you, and then you're just losing. But that is probably the concept of your deck being aggro, so probably by then you will lose in any case. So still, I don't also put this really in my deck. Now, if I would have like bats, etc., something I can burrow it or whatever, then I would consider it, but even then. So it's still like... probably a build around B, or just a D to D plus somewhere there. Next one, Screaming Skull, 3 mana for an elite relic. Whenever bearer attacks and kills an enemy, it untaps. So this is the Battle Mage cards. If you equip it, basically it runs around, kills everything, and draws 15 cards, and you cast them, and you just lose the game. I don't see it for any other purpose. Even with an Amazon War, for instance, killing 2 minions and surviving is rarely an option. With the example of Amazon War, you should have like 2 minions then, and then it's really good. But as always, it's a relic that you can lose, and I don't see it. So for me, it's unplayable. So Battle Mage, build around A minus. For all the rest, it's just an F to me.
Yeah, I agree. Chains of Prometheus is 4 mana for an elite monument. Whenever a player draws a card, that player taps their strongest untapped minion. So this is like a control piece. So maybe if you're in some kind of like really high curve ramp deck, you have tons of late game action, then maybe you can play this. But outside of that specific situation, it's just an F. What do you think?
Yeah, Change is a crazy card. So the effect is very strong, but it also taps your minions. So and it's a bit counterintuitive, but the only way I see this played is actually in a very cheap, very fast aggro deck, where you have tons of 2 mana minions that you can buff with lances. But basically, on turn 4, you cast this. It also removes a minion of theirs, so basically you are on par. You will also tap, but it removes one of their removal and their best minions, where often your minions are just less critical. You are just forcing it. The other side is if you really go for control, if you have like you already have like amazing cards like Poison Nova, etc. But it's not an easy card. I think potentially it's super strong and it's really the B plus A minus range. But overall, if you have not a specific goal or build around, then it's just a D or an F. So not easy to play, I think. Next one, land deed, 4 mana for an elite document. Bear has you control decides. The effect is amazing. The bear, honestly, I tried it and actually it was decent also in fast text that you just take a turn, but then there are other spells that can take away a mana for a turn, like Text Collector, etc. And it's just dangerous. So I would just not play it anymore. So D to F.
Yep, I agree. Maddening Bells is 4 mana for an elite relic. Spells cast by a nearby spellcaster cost 2 more to cast. So ideally, you want to kind of do the same thing as you do with Devil's Egg, where you put this on a Cloud Spirit or something and just fly it over to their avatar and drop it, or just hold on to it but stay next to their avatar, that kind of thing. I mean, it is really powerful if you can manage to do that. Like, they just can't really cast spells anymore. like if you do this on turn 4, like it just basically destroys 2 of their sites. I don't know. But yeah, if they get it back, then they also have to move it all the way over to you. So it's not even like just them picking it up is going to solve their issues. But then again, like it's just another card that like doesn't really affect the board. I mean, it affects their tempo, but you've just spent 4 mana on this, so that's just kind of a lot. So you already really have to be in a winning position when you play this. So it's kind of a win more card, I guess. Yeah, I'm just going to give this an F. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm scared of this card in Constructed. In Limited, again, the only way I see it plays is in a super aggressive deck, where really then you set your opponent so far behind. But again, if you then try it on turn 6, then this is not where you want to be. So I would not play it. If this is like my extra spell slots and I have a lot of flyers, etc., then I might consider it, but probably just prefer a spell. So I think I'm also on F. Next one, Mask of Mayhem, 4 mana for an elite armor. Whenever a nearby minion can attack, it must. Nearby strikes deal double damage. So this is one of the cards that was severely buffed due to the new range, to the new rules, because now you can also deal double damage to sides. So if you decide to put it in your deck, then probably you just have bad intentions of just doing a huge strike and putting him to death's door. So that means a deck with a flood of minions, so at least when you cast this, 2 minions can deal the damage. The good thing of Mask of Mayhem is that it sticks around, so it's not like Grim Gizarm that you could lose. I mean, this one you can also lose, but it's nearby, so it reaches very far. So the battle plan is very clear, very simple. Also, when you play with a lot of small minions, like 2 to 3 part minions, suddenly they also deal 4 to 6 damage. That means that all your amazing minions of your opponent, they will also strike down. So Mask of Mayhem is not just like perhaps Landlead or Manning Bells. This is really something that is playable and very dangerous. It can backfire as always, so know where to position it and play it right. I haven't played it with or had the opportunity to play it with the new rules in limited. I guess it earns its place. I think from a gut feeling, I still step away from it because again, if you run out of minions, you are even. You have the one minion in play and you draw it. Then potentially it just doesn't do anything. So I'm at a build around B plus, A minus. And overall, I guess it's, yeah, difficult to say because giving it even a C feels strange. So then it's more like a D.
Okay. I'm gonna give this a B minus, but yeah, with the caveat that like you need to have like a bunch of minions in your deck, like you want to be trying to beat down all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then importantly to point out, like the forced attack is really important, and probably people are gonna mess it up. So it's like as soon as you play this, every minion that can attack has to, and that includes if it can attack a site, if it can attack a minion, so forth. Obviously, your things can't attack your own sites or your own minions, but that's important to note. Like you can't cast this and then cast another spell. You have to do this right before you want to attack. And then on your opponent's turn, like all of their minions have to attack as well, if they're nearby this, obviously. So I don't know. I like it a lot. I'm definitely willing to try it out. I think it's going to be pretty strong. I mean, it's making waves in constructed, so I have to believe that it's worth an inclusion in most decks and limited. It's nice that they gave us a good artifact to break up all of the Fs. Okay, the next one is Drums of Doom. It's 5 mana for an elite instrument. Damage dealt to minions nearby is lethal. Yeah, I'm just going to give that an F.
That was quick. So this is the Druid cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing a Druid in limited is not happening. And otherwise, you're just spending a card to give all your 2 mana minions lethal. Then that's probably okay, but it's just no. F. Payload Trebuchet, 5 mana for an elite weapon. Tap bear and another ally here. Discard a card. Deal damage equal to the discarded card's mana cost to each unit at target location up to 3 steps away. When I opened my very first beta box, this was the first deck I made with the Trebuchet. It didn't work, but just trying it out and getting it to work was so much fun. So 3 steps away is a lot. That means that you can really reach your opponent or anything, basically. Again, it's probably your avatar with another minion. They don't see it coming, so if you play it, you can probably kill something, but oh, wait, you just discarded a minion or something else. So you are going for 2 for 1 by default. And the moment that they see it, well, it probably will not be that impactful, although it's really hard to approach somebody with a trebuchet. Voilà, this is a lot of words to actually say, do not do this. This is like Siege Ballista. It seems good, but it rarely ever is. There are really better ways to deal damage to your opponent, so it's a complete F.
Yeah, tap 2 minions, discard a card as an activation cost is just a little bit too much. So yeah, I give it an F. Purge Juggernaut is 6 mana for a 4-power elite automaton. At the start of your turn, Purge Juggernaut taps and moves to an adjacent location. Kill all minions there. So this is basically just never going to kill anything because they're going to see it on board. It's at the start of your turn. So you pay 6 mana, you put this down, and then they can even move their stuff onto your site with this because it has to move. It can't stay in its same location, even though it says adjacent, and normally adjacent means this and the other sites. It has to move to an adjacent location, so it can't even stay put. So that means like there's only 4 squares that it can actually move to and kill everything, and they will just not put stuff there. So the easiest card to play around, like it's super face up information. Yeah, I'm just giving this an F. It's so horrible. Yeah, it does nothing. It's always tapped. Like it can't block or ever attack your opponent's site. Like, okay.
And if you combine it with Belfry, and then you tap. Anyway,
Then it can block.
Next one. Next one, Undertaker Engine, 7 mana for a 4th-powered elite automation. At the end of your turn, you may burrow and unburrow any combination of artifacts and minions at this site. Yeah, I guess if it would be 5 mana for a 4 part minion, then you could say, okay, perhaps I'll play it. But 7 mana, that is crazy because the effect never happens. Bury and unbury in any combination of artifacts, even not in constructed. So it's a pity, but this is just complete unplayable card in any format. So complete F.
Really? Okay. I give it a C minus. I mean, it is like a 7 mana like berry on your site, right? Like it can kill stuff. The turn that it enters too, like that's that's something you give to an A is you play a card and it immediately affects the board. But yeah, I agree. Like I'm not putting this in most of my decks. I've done it before and it hasn't been great, but I don't think it's unplayable. I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's true. If you kill a minion right away, then. But still, I'm not a fan.
Okay, we're gonna move to the sites. So elite Earth sites. There's only one. Rift Valley. Rift Valley is an Earth site. It's elite. You may pull apart a partial row or a column to make a void in which to play this. So, this is a good like aggro card, I guess. Like you can move your opponent's sites out of the way and put this like right in front of their avatar, that kind of thing. I don't know. I've never really gotten that much utility out of this. And then also like your site is going to be on their side of the board if you're doing that, which can be really risky. So I'm just giving this a C minus. I'm not really going to prioritize it over like a decent spell, but I'll probably just put it in any deck that I have it because it can at least just be an Earth site on your side. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also see. I always have trouble grading sites versus spells because spells are always better. But this is just a Earth threshold mana site, so that is good. It's better than the default do nothing. So, and just to have the potential to move stuff around, like it could happen, right? That you can just move a minion one step further and just kill something for free. So in worst case, it's just an Earth site. In best case, it really has an impact on the board. So I think the card is always better than just a standard card. So if I'm in Earth, I will always pick it. Do I have highest expectation for it? No. Also be careful. If you play it aggressively and the game turns around, then you're very vulnerable on the Rift Valley. But still, the effect is worth the card. Next one is Fire. There we have 2 cards. The first one is Dwarven Forge, an elite site, which says anyone may conjure weapons and armor here, and for 1 less. So again, it is a threshold site. It's better than having nothing. If you have weapons and armors in, the more weapons and armors in your deck, the better this card gets. Honestly, if you have this in your opening hand, this means that it's one of your 3 to 4 sides that you will be playing. I don't think you will ever keep this in the hand. So then it's like a shorter shield, perhaps, very quickly. Yeah, it's not happening. So it's a D to C minus if you would have 1 or 2 weapons or armors there. But you probably just want to cast it whenever you want to. It makes more sense.
Yeah, we pretty much gave like a D or F to like every weapon and armor so far. I mean, yeah, if you're playing with Arthurian Legend, Sword and Shield, I know you like quite a bit. So then it's fine. But also, it does say your opponent can conjure things here for 1 less as well. So if you don't have any, then you obviously just shouldn't put this in your deck. But yeah, if you have 1, like you might as well put this in your deck because no one else is going to be playing any weapons or armor anyway. Okay, Mirage is an elite site, Fire Threshold. When played, you may return a site in play you own to your hand to play this site in its place. So you bounce one of your deserts, put it back in your hand, and put Mirage in place of it. But then, like, you didn't actually go up a mana. I guess it makes a mana the turn that it enters, so that's fine. But then the next turn, like, you're just down a mana, basically. So this is a D minus. I did look up the few cards that have decent Genesis ability. So outside of just like deserts, which I would not play this card to get a desert back, but Boneyard, Pillar of Zeros, and Tadpole Pool, I guess, have pretty good Genesis abilities. So I mean, I'm gonna put this in my deck no matter what because you can just play it as a normal site if you want to. But I'm not gonna prioritize it. I'm gonna give it a D minus.
Yeah, again, it's just a fireside, so it's better than not because you can always choose not to do it and then it's just a fireside. But as you say, perhaps a tower is something that you might want to take back if you want to then reach your 7 mana spells. But the fact is that you are just giving up tempo. You give up a site, and that is rarely a good idea. Next one is Island Leviathan for an elite site with water. And then for 8 water threshold, it says may transform into a monster, place flooded rubble underneath, and it has 8 power. Very tricky. So in limited, you need to go basically full water or like full water with a splash or something. Getting to 8 mana, I mean 8 sites in general is already like a mini adventure on its own, so barely never happening. So if you're in water and you have it, sure, place it in the deck and potentially perhaps it becomes an 8 power minion and then you're just laughing very hard. Also, it is an option, so you don't have to do it. You can do it whenever you want to. Also, if it becomes a monster, you actually lose a mana, which I think in limited is not relevant. So I would say the only combo that exists with it is it's Annual Fair, I think.
Yep.
Right? So basically, there you can spend 1 mana for any threshold. So if you have this in play and the other fair, you can just pump it up for each mana. So potentially on turn 5, you could have an 8-part minion. And also, because it's already in play, it's not summon sick. So in that case, that is actually doable. If you open in your beta pack an Island Leviathan and you decide to take it, then really watch out for this combo because that is a potential blowout for your opponent, having suddenly turn 5 and 8-part minion in play. It does cost you a full turn. You will lose that 1 mana, but yeah, good luck dealing with the Leviathan.
Yeah. So outside of Annual Fair, I looked up other things and I found Wrath of the Sea, which is the card that like floods everything near a body of water. Like that might get you to 8 threshold. And then Great Old One, which is like the flood everything in the realm kind of card. But yeah, outside of that or Annual Fair, or just being in a mono water deck, like you're never activating this. It is super powerful if you can, though. Like, yeah, if you ever activate this, it's 0 mana. Like it doesn't cost you anything to actually pick this thing up and have it start bashing. So, yeah, I mean, you're gonna put it in your deck, and your opponent might be afraid of it if they think you can actually get to it. But realistically, it's an extremely difficult build around. So I give it like a D-, but if you build around it, then it's probably like a B or an A. I don't know. If you can actually do it. Next, we have Air. There's one site, Observatory. It's an elite site. Genesis, look at your next 3 spells. Put them back in any order. So you can't put any of them on the bottom, but you get to see what's coming and rearrange them in the way that you think is best. So that's pretty decent. I give it a C-. It's another site that like is quite good, but I'm probably not taking it over like a real spell just because beta, like it's really hard to get to 24 spells sometimes, and you just don't want to have to put like a really bad card in your deck. So I'd rather just take like even a C level spell over this, but it's like a C or C-, somewhere in that range for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Again, it's an air threshold card, so it's free. It's a good ability. But it's also not overpowered. Like in Magic, this is a very strong ability, but it's because you have so many ways to manipulate your deck, which is not existing in, or not really existing in Sorcery, or definitely not consistently in Limited. So basically, it lets you look at your 3 spells. So you got the information, you can order them the way you want, but that's it. Then you just have to go through all the 3 spells. So if there's one good, one bad, and one amazing, you will draw the amazing one. That has then the advantage, but you have to go through the other 2. So it's okay. It just provides you a bit of information. And of course, if you have like a real bomb in your deck, and yes, you can place it before, then of course it's really good. Next one, we come to the sites without any threshold, and there are 10 of them. First one is Astral Alcazar, an elite site. Units can move between this site and any void. as if they were adjacent. Honestly, until today, I still don't get this card and what it does. So it's really like units can move between this side and any void as if they were adjacent. So that means you have to have void walk, or you just can get killed. So like, not many minions have void walk, and if perhaps you want to play with them, they teleport to a random location, and then they can actually move to this side. It's just never happening, and never seen this card. And you sacrifice threshold for this, so for me it's an F. I would never play this.
Yeah, the minions don't gain Void Walk. So,
No.
yeah. I don't understand. Yeah, it's definitely an F. Battlefield. It's an elite site with no threshold. Genesis, conjure a broken weapon or armor here. Yeah, we don't even like any of the weapons or armor, so no thank you. I'll give it an F.
Next one, Bottomless Pit, elite site. Whenever a non-airborne minion enters this site, kill it. Strong cards in itself, but nobody will walk into it willingly, so it's really just area control. So when does it benefit you? If you want to stall the game because you have bigger minions. I think it's only playable in a 2 threshold deck, so you can have a bit of space to add something like this. And as extra, of course, if you have a lot of airborne minions yourself, then actually you can cast your airborne minions on the bottomless pit and feel safe, although minions without airborne cannot attack them. So honestly, yeah, it's difficult. If you have some kind of way for force movement, and then I'm thinking about Koi Nixie, but even if you have to visualize it, Koi Nixie means that it has to be next to the bottomless pit because it cannot be on the bottomless pit. So it's like it has to be like an L shape so you can pull that minion in. Not very likely. So a lot of effort. If you want to control, if you want to stall, then I will put it in the deck. Perhaps with swap, etc. stuff is potentially possible, but as it stands right now, it's not that useful. So it's a build around C plus somewhere.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give it a D, which is kind of high for a colorless site. Like, I really just don't like these sites that don't have any threshold. But yeah, there might be some situation where you already have led astrays and you're already wanting to play them because you're wave shaper or something like that.
A small upside is that, let's say you're on the death's door and you can actually walk to your bottomless pit. It provides extra protection, but it doesn't guarantee it.
Next is Crossroads. It's an elite site. Genesis, look at your next 4 sites, put 3 on the bottom of your atlas. So, like, what are you digging for with this? I guess if you have, like, if you're playing with AL and you have, like, a Fields of Camlin or something, like, some crazy, incredible site that you want to dig with this, sure, I guess, but, like, you're not using this to fix your threshold. That is something you should not do. Like, even if you have dual sites that you want to dig for, like, you're also just playing a site with no threshold. Like, that does not help you fix your mana, obviously. So I just give this an F. I'm never playing this.
Yeah, as you say, it facilitates. The effect is really good because you don't sort your cards; they go to the bottom. So actually, you really filter and draw to what you need. But like, yeah, it's not really possible probably to have a roots deck because of this. So then it's probably pillars. That is probably amazing that perhaps you want to get to, or the Fields of Camlin, as you say. So yeah, I agree. Don't play this. Next one, Edge of the World, an elite site with no thresholds and must always be adjacent to the voids. So very strange cards in the beginning. I didn't understand this card. So what you want to do with this is actually you force how your opponent builds their realm. If you place it smart, you can actually control it that they cannot play sides. But that is a lot of words to say, what are you doing? You just want to hit his sides. So where did he place it? It's not really relevant. So it's just an F.
Yeah, really sweet art, but I give it an F as well. Okay, Imperial Road. Genesis, target opponent, then you may play a site adjacent to this one. So the really cool thing you can do with this is you play it as your third site. If your opponent doesn't have their site in hand, then they don't put anything into play, but you put a second site in play. That's not really going to come up that often, and I don't know if it's really worth building toward. This is another card that like you could like dream that scenario, but even then, like it's not that impressive. I mean, you're both getting an extra site in play most of the time, so it's not like it's ramping you, but not them. I'm just giving this an F. Like I just don't want colorless sites in my deck.
No, the only ID is if you really are in an aggressive deck, like a real aggressive, very low curve, hits hard and fast, then it ramps your mana and it forces your opponent to put a site next to your sites, so you can get your damage in quite quickly. But we're really talking about limited here, so it's a lot to ask for us. So it's D. Next one, Planner Gates, Elite Sites. Minions here can traverse the void, gaining Void Walk until leaving it. Strange cards, unfortunately, completely unplayable. It's a bit of a pity that this not provides threshold, because there are not a lot of Void Walk minions in the realm, and this is something that can actually provide it, so it could potentially force some cool stuff. The reality, though, is that even if your minion gains Void Walk, what is it going to do? So instead of moving and attacking your opponent, it will actually move into the void and then take a step into the void and then out of the void. So that is just so much time. So the only reason is like, hey, I'm in trouble. He played like a ranged minion. I cannot escape it. And then it actually gives an opportunity to escape. But then you're still in having an issue, etc. So yeah, I never play Planner Gates, unfortunately, but I really love the art.
Yeah, this is everything we wanted Astral Alcazar to be, but it's still an F. I just don't understand. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Okay, Primordial Spring is an elite site. It has Genesis. If you control fewer sites than any opponent, draw 3 sites. So I actually put this in a sealed deck once just to try it out, and it does not work. Like, you have to be 2 sites behind in order for this to actually trigger, because you play it, and then they have to have more sites than you. So yeah, completely unplayable. Like, you would have to just choose not to play sites for a turn or 2 in order to play this and draw 3 sites. So yeah, I'm just giving that an F. It might just be an F minus.
Yeah, this was one of the first cards I think I tested in one of my first drafts, because honestly, the card is beautiful. Like, wow, that art is so amazing to me. And then it has like the shiny draw 3 sites.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, this card is amazing. This is a site, but it is actually as you described. So imagine this: you have 1 site in play, and your opponent has 3 sites in play. Then you're happy because you can actually play these non-threshold sites, and then you draw 3 sites. But that means that probably your opponent has a 3-part minion and you don't have anything in play. So you're dying. So that is not possible. Okay, so then let's say that I have 4 mana in play and my opponent has 6 mana in play. Then I can actually gain that advantage. But like, yeah, that's just not happening. So fortunately, it's an F. It's unplayable. I still have high hopes for these cards for future sets. But as it stands today, nope.
Yep.
Next one is Sinkhole. Sacrifice Sinkhole, destroy a nearby site. Sinkhole is definitely always scary because it is very cheap and the effect can be nasty. It can destroy annoying stuff from your opponent if they struggle on thresholds. If they're in a 3-element deck and you just wipe 1, it really can be annoying. Also, you play Sinkhole, you have your advantage in mana. You can play your 4 mana minion Lumbering Giant for power and then Sinkhole away a side of them, putting them behind. So you had the advantage. So I would say in a two-element deck where you have the space to have a non-threshold card, this is potentially very strong. In general, it doesn't happen that often that it really has an impact. But yeah, the potential is there. So I go to, depending on the deck, a C plus to potentially a B minus in the right aggressive environment.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty low on this. I'm gonna give it a D plus still. Like I'll probably consider putting it in a 2-element deck that doesn't have like crazy thresholds. And really in beta, like the threshold requirements are pretty low, so you probably can get away with playing this. There's not that many problematic sites that have like defensive abilities. A lot of them just have like a Genesis ability, so that doesn't do anything. So really, you're just like attacking your opponent's threshold with this, which can be pretty powerful, as you said. Like you do get mana out of it and blow up their site. So yeah, it has potential. I'm probably still not going to take it very high. But yeah, I could see playing this.
In one of the last drafts, I had somebody after the game jumping happily towards me, giving the story of that he drew a sinkhole and he was able to remove the water site where the Anduin was on, basically going from a 7-powered minion or a 6-powered minion to a 0-powered minion and then just be able to kill it. But these are like these very extreme examples that just basically not really happen. But if you have, and that's why we love Sorcery, like this crazy stuff happen, and then it's just a lot of fun.
Standing Stones is an elite site, and it says minions here are spellcasters. Sure. I'll give that an F. I don't know. Yeah, it's not like it would be fine if it was on like a regular site. Like it would every once in a while be like a slight upside to have something be able to cast a spell from there, but to have it be a site with no threshold, like you just can't play that.
No, and I also don't understand this why they didn't make an air site of this. Like,
yeah.
No. So F, yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to the avatars. First up is Battle Mage. It is a 3-power avatar. It's the most powerful avatar, of course. It has tap, player, draw a site, and it says whenever Battle Mage attacks and kills an enemy, you may draw a spell. So I think it's got potential. I think it's pretty good in most decks, I guess. Like you do have to build around it though. Like I think in the average deck that has like 5 or 6 mana spells, it's probably like a D. Like I probably just play Spellslinger over it. But if you get this early and you can draft a low curve deck that ideally tops out at like 5 mana, then it can be okay. I think ideally you want to be like air or fire so that you have some extra mobility, like you have blink or you have blaze, that kind of stuff, where you can not have to take multiple turns to get to their minions. I mean, if they get on your side of the board, that's one thing, and you can actually start attacking with this, but you also are taking damage every time you do this. But there's definitely potential for just running over your opponent. Like this is a 3-power unit that they just can't remove from the board, so that's definitely powerful. So I'll give it a B- build around. Like I will definitely play it and be happy with it. But if I don't build around it and I just get it in like pack 3 or something, then I'm just not taking it. It's like a D.
Yeah, I completely follow you. I never got it to work, although I tried it, and the card is amazing, and it puts so much pressure, but I just never get there. Like I'm killing minions, and perhaps, and then I draw that. That's good, but you also get so much damage because of this every time you kill something. So yeah, I often get just burned down or out, and the issue with Battle Mage is also that probably you still want to have 4 to 5 sites on your realm, so it takes also that long to build it up, and then it first starts to move before it can start to attack. So it takes like 5-6 turns to then get it. So it is of course different if you have like grapple shots and if you have like these very amazing spells, and that's why I agree with the build around thing, then it really can work. So I don't try it anymore because I lost with it too many times, but I want to do a shout out to Boateng, who actually won Sorcery Fest with a Battle Mage. And so if you want to know how he did it, you can watch still the stream. It's very informative. And basically, he had like a very aggro fire deck with Vile Imps and the Nomads, so he did a lot of fast damage, and then of course the Battle Mage came after and really started to hit hard as well. And yeah, it was a complete walkover his deck. So if you want to know how to build one, that one is a very good example. Next one is Death Speaker. It is an avatar with 1 power, as are the others. Tap player draws sides, as the others as well. You may cast 1 dead minion each turn, and for 0, if you're on a death's door, whenever you summon a minion this way, banish it. So this is a constructed card. It is just too difficult to get a lot of minions that have a good Genesis ability. So if you would say like, okay, I was able to draft 5 Vile Imp, should I play a Death Speaker? Well, I guess so, yes. The thing is, you always have to compare it to Spellslinger. Spellslinger just has the 1 extra card. So how many times do you have to activate the effect before it compensates for the full card? So if you have 5 Vile Imps, then probably you have 1 or 2 in your game always, and then you will probably be able to cast it 2 times. Yes, then it's a good card. If you would have Grandmaster Wizard, but that's then already over the top. Yeah, so I never play with it. If I would open it, I would be tempted definitely to really search for these things, but it's not easy. So, yeah, where do you stand on that, Speaker?
Yeah, so it's like really my favorite avatar. Like as soon as I read this, I was like, I need to build that deck. Like, yeah, I guess we should explain the ability because it's not like super clear. It kind of reads weird. So you cast dead minions. So once per turn, you can cast out of your cemetery or your opponent's cemetery a minion. You still have to spend the cost. You still have to have the threshold. And then you get the Genesis ability for that minion, and then the minion is banished. So you don't get to keep the minion. You don't get death right abilities. But if it has a Genesis ability, that's basically the only thing that combos with Death Speaker. So that's like Land Surveyors, Apprentice Wizards, Grandmaster Wizard, Vile-Imp, stuff like that. And then you get some advantage out of that. But yeah, like you said, you have to get 2 cards worth of value out of this before it's good. And then I should say, if you're at Death's Door, you can cast it for 0. So if you had like a Grandmaster Wizard and then you get to Death's Door, you get to cast it for 0 and draw 3 spells. Like that's pretty awesome. But honestly, with the Grandmaster Wizard, like, yeah, you already had to take a bunch of tempo off to play the Grandmaster Wizard. Like, what are the chances you're going to be able to take another turn off to also draw 3 more cards? Like, that's probably just not happening. Okay, so yeah, all that to say, I think if it was like pack 1, pick 1, I probably would not take this. Like, I'd give it like a D probably. But yeah, if you build around it, like, yeah, you need to really, really build around this. Like, if you, yeah, in that exact situation where you have like 5 Vile-Imps or something, like I probably would play it and it would be pretty good probably. But yeah, you would have to then draw 2 Vile-Imps at least and play them and have them die and then recast them for you to actually get advantage out of this. So it's probably just not worth doing, but you should build it in constructed and have fun with it because it's pretty fun. Okay, next is Elementalist. This is a 1 power avatar. It has tap, player draws sight, and then it has you have an additional earth, fire, water, and air threshold. So this card makes it so that you can just splash anything for free, basically. Any single threshold card you can just cast with Elementalist and not have to worry about your thresholds. So that means, okay, how many different elements do you want to have double threshold cards in? Because obviously this makes splashing double earth threshold cards possible. And unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to play this even in my cube. But it's super powerful. Like, it depends how early you get this in the draft. Like this is probably like the best pack one pick one you could possibly have, maybe next to like Sorcerer, because you can just play whatever you want. Like anything that's single threshold, you just put in your deck. And then yeah, double threshold stuff, like you'll figure out what your double threshold cards that you can play are. This lets you play triple threshold cards even pretty easily. So I just give this an A, but the earlier you get it, the better. So not really a build around, but obviously you're gonna build your whole deck around this in kind of a weird way. So what do you give it?
I completely agree. So basically, the whole idea about elements is that you have to choose, right? You have to select 1, 2 allies where then you try to grab the best things. Elementalist doesn't do that. It just play the best cards. It doesn't matter. There is no order. You don't have to think about it. This is amazing. I'll take it. It's completely other elements. Sure, why not? And with R2 Legends, like all the Sirs are so extremely powerful. Elementalist facilitates them all. If you have King Arthur, whatever. So one of the best cards are so hard to cast, and Elementalist has no issue with it. So yes, it depends, of course, what is in your deck, but it just makes your draft so much easier. So it has to compensate for that extra card, but like having all the best 3 drops of all the colors, yeah. So more often than not, you will really have that advantage playing all the best cards from all the elements. Next one, Enchantress. Tap to player draw's side. Whenever you cast a spell, you may animate target aura until your next turn. It is an aura minion with power equal to its cost. This is a very difficult card, and it's also very confusing for players, also the rules. So basically, you want to cast auras, and then these auras, normally most of them are located on 4 sites or locations. And then if you animate it, they become these giant minions that cover these 4 sites or locations. That also means like if one is in the void, it gets banished right away. The thing is, the other reality is that there aren't that many great auras that there are. Given said this, I actually somebody in the beginning days that drafted a deck with 2 wildfires in his deck, a bunch of walls that nobody wants, and a thunderstorm, and I think an abundance. And honestly, the wildfire is crazy with Enchantress because wildfire says it has to build a pot of fire. So the idea of wildfire is that it will fizzle out and go away. But when you animate it with wildfire, you can actually retrace your steps and walk on fire. And so it never goes away. So you have a cheap 4-part minion that shoots 3 damage at the end of the turn. And I must say he had the easiest to win. So that was crazy, but how many times can you draft 2 wildfire with an Enchantress? And then Abundance is probably the best one for 5. But all the other ones like Entangled Terrain is 4 mana, but then yeah, if you animate it, you are immobile. Of course, you will be on their side, so perhaps it's good, but you will lose it also after 3 turns. And the other ones like Flood potentially is then 4 mana. So the good thing is like these hours, nobody wants them. So if you have Enchantress and get a bit lucky, but it's I tried it and it's just not consistent. There are a certain number of cards like I just mentioned, but who knows if you will just see them. So I would just not play it. Although it is great fun, also in constructed, but in limited, you have to get really lucky to be able to find the right cards. Perhaps with Gothic, it changes, but I probably don't think so. So unfortunately, for most, it's just a straight F.
Yeah, I give this an F as well. Yeah, I don't really ever see being able to build around this. Yeah, wildfires are sweet, but yeah, all of the other auras, like most of them just aren't really good at all. So yeah, pretty unfortunate because this is a super cool card, obviously. Another one that you should maybe just play in constructed and have fun with it.
I think if you open Enchantress, then you can pass it on. You know that it's there, and then if you see a wildfire, like pack 2, then you might be, because you know that the Enchantress comes back, but as said, it's still very risky.
Okay, Seer is next. It's a 1-power avatar. Tapper player, draw a site. At the start of your turn, look at your next site or spell. You may put it on the bottom of its deck. So you get to scry 1 from either of your deck every turn on your turn. And one thing to note, people forget this all the time, but you do this on turn 1. So if you're going first, you still get your beginning of turn effects. So you do get to look at your deck, even though you're not drawing a card. Seer, I think, has some potential. I think it's pretty powerful. Like, with what I've said about beta has like a bunch of junk, like you're going to end up with like a D plus or a C minus in your deck. Being able to filter through those and get to your really powerful cards is actually quite good. And I think you're going to get your card worth of value out of it. So I give this a B minus. I think this is great in pretty much every deck. Like I'll probably just always play this over Spellslinger. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it depends a bit on the deck. Like if you're an aggro deck, then you don't need it because actually you don't mind the small minions. But if you're like have very specific cards, it will just draw you to them. If I think I have a Poison Nova or just any bomb or 2 really good minions in my deck, then sure. So again, we think it has to compensate that 1 card that you don't have. But the other way around as well, like if you have a normal curve and you're building to something bigger, and this lets you skip all your 2-power minions because you just look 2-power minion. Nope, we're not in that phase anymore. You just throw it away. Because sometimes that is what I struggle with. Like it's okay to have the 2-power minions, but like mid game and you draw 2 of them after each other. That is really annoying. If you're racing and you have like, hey, another family, and he's like, here's a Sandworm, and then hey, here's my Finwife, and he's like Amazon War, yeah, then you're in trouble. So if Seer can just remove them, of course, if they're two-part minions after each other, you just will only draw 1, but even then it is 1 gain. So yeah, Seer is tricky. So from a gut feeling, I'm like, I don't need it, and I am greedy, and I just give me the extra card. I don't want to give up with the card. But the effect to optimize, like scrying all the time, how can that not be good? So I agree. I probably goes to B to B plus.
All right, and then we should cover the alpha elemental avatars since we're here, and I'm a completionist. So, do you want to start with Avatar Bear?
Sure. Then I just need to switch. So Avatar of Air. It says step, play, or draw a site. Once on your turn, if you occupy an air site, you may fly a unit atop it to a nearby site. So let's just do a shout out to Severin for creating these amazing, beautiful artwork. They are so gorgeous. I think a lot of people love them. Amazing work. The effect in Constructed is crazy. It's one of the top tier, and probably will remain one of the top tier effects because it provides free movement. Once a turn, but every turn, if you are on mountain. So if in limited you are in a 2-element deck with air, then you can craft your pod that Avatar of Air will always have its effect. So in that case, I do agree, as in Constructed, it will compensate for that extra spot. The potential to always move and put your opponent's minions in danger is just so strong. If you play with weaker minions and your opponent has bigger minions, then the effect of Avatar of Air will diminish, but that is something that is only in the middle game there. So yeah, it's really, you have to know how to build your deck. You have to be precise in your mana curve. If you combine this with Earth and put Butchers and all these crazy cards as you would do in Constructed, like the free movement is so nuts, throwing everything nearby. So basically everything, it's not that they just get airborne, but they take a step and then be able to attack. So I think Avatar in the right deck is on the A level.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure it's like a pretty difficult build around. I'm assuming so. I gave it a D. I I don't really see this being good in like regular limited. I mean, I've never played with it in alpha draft. Obviously, I've never done alpha draft before, but yeah. And then obviously there's the combos with it. So like there's bottomless pit, which is an elite, but then there's like free city, and if you're playing with Arthurian legends, there's troll bridge. Those are really good to throw your opponent's minions into. But yeah, if you build like an earth air deck that has Avatar of Air at the helm, that does sound pretty powerful to me, and I would consider it maybe like a B or something. But I think in just like a random deck, if you just throw Avatar of Air in it, like it, I don't know that it really will get you the card worth of value.
Think about Siege Giants, like it does the same thing, right? All your ranged minions, suddenly they fly somewhere to be able to attack. Your 4-part minions, they, like all 3-part minions, somewhere in the realm are in danger. But it's true, I never played with it, just in the strict limited format. But if I would consider a beta or alpha draft with Arthurian Legends with an Avatar of Air, oh my god. I mean, it is already so fast and aggressive, so I think it more than compensates for that card. So, yeah, but it's actually a great idea to have a draft on the Tuesday evening, and we just force everybody to pick one of those 4.
Yeah. Okay, Avatar Earth is next. It has tap or 2 player draw a site, and then it has you have +1 power for each nearby Earth site. So ideally, you want to put all of your non-Earth sites kind of in the back row, put all your Earth sites in the front row, and then you can attack your opponent's site and have +3 power, hopefully. So you can get +3 power if your opponent isn't in Earth, but Earth is highly played. So if your opponent is in Earth, you might be attacking for 5 power. So that's pretty sweet. This is another one that you probably want to pair with like air or fire so that you can get some additional movement. So you're not just like slowly moving your way towards your opponent. So it's kind of on the range of Battle Mage, but you're not drawing the card. So I think it's a bit worse than Battle Mage, even if you build around it. I'm going to give it a C+.
Yeah, I'm not high on it. I don't believe in it. Like, if you are in heavy in Earth and you can play your 3 Earth sides nicely to the front, but then it's already turn 5, 6. You have to walk there. You are not playing sides. You don't want to draw any more sides. So then, yeah, you're at turn 6, 7. By then, the game is already so much defined on how much damage you got. And let's say by then you're at 8 life. Are you really want to attack in? And if they block with a 2-part minion, you take 2 damage. I don't see it. So for me, it's more like a C- to D level.
Okay.
Next one, Avatar of Air. Tap, play or draw a site, and tap. This turn, fire sites in your hand are also fireballs. Very cool card. It's really, I mean, I love fireballs as a concept, but if you looked at our other review, I came to the conclusion that fireballs are not that amazing, actually, which is very strange. But the extra thing is also you have to have a fire site in hand. So that means that in the beginning you are playing just all your sides because you need the mana, and then at a certain moment you are just drawing sides because as with spell singing you have to. Probably you will still want to go to 5 sides, potentially 6. So it takes a long time before this can happen. But the moment that you have 4 sides in play, your opponent always has to worry like, hey, what if he just casts a fireball? But also by then they will have built a side lane and they are just attacking there. So it does provide a bit of area control and puts pressure on your opponent. But I think the effect is rarely really there. Also, if you are in two elements, it can happen that you then draw in air side and then you draw another air side and it's like, oh, I really need it now and I don't have it. Which is annoying. So yeah, if you have like blink, if you have easy movement, then potentially it can compensate for that one spell you don't have, but you see how much has to happen before you have a good fireball. So again, I'm more on the D level for Avatar of Fire.
Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, I give it a D-. Yeah, like you're never really getting a card worth of value out of this. Like yeah, you're tapping to make your fire sites into fireballs, which are not even that great of a removal spell, so kind of unfortunate. Avatar of Water is 1 power avatar, tap to play or draw a site, and then it has tap, flood a site adjacent to your body of water. Until you do so again, you may teleport there. So yeah, I don't know what you're really doing by teleporting to probably your opponent's site. You can make your body of water a little bit bigger. You can make it so that your pirate ships and stuff can attack their site that you're flooding. Yeah, I don't really see this. I think Wave Shaper is just way better than this. I'm so glad that Wave Shaper is like a playable avatar, and unfortunate for Avatar of Water, I don't think it quite made the cut. So I'm just going to give this an F.
Well, I think I'm still on C minus perhaps or D plus. So it's really funny with beta that they made Wave Shaper, because Wave Shaper is like 10 times as good. And in comparison to Spellslinger, Wave Shaper is probably one of the best if you're in water. But here, luckily, it says you may teleport there, not you have to, because like how many times do you actually want to teleport, and which cards do you want to have that you actually want to teleport? So perhaps if you have a Sword and Shield and you have a 3-part avatar, then you can like kick-a-boo and kill something, which is annoying. But otherwise, just teleporting. So it's more like be able to make and flood a site. And then, of course, it facilitates your pirate ships and all these things. So that is, I think, the only reason ever to play Avatar of Water. So if you are deep in water, if you have a lot of pirate ships and sea serpents, then this is playable. And so it's more like a build around C minus. But honestly, if you can get the Wave Shaper, that is no contest there.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, beautiful cards for sure. These are like the first cards that most people saw when they learned about sorcery. So yeah, definitely Severin did a lot of work just like pulling people into the game. So pretty impressed there.
Yeah, funny stories like when we did the very first Siege at the Core, my girlfriend bought one of the art pieces because we had Severin on our venue. I mean, she bought a print, which was a little bit expensive to what I normally spend. But she gave me one, and I was like, no, don't do this to me. Like, you say you're a completionist. So yeah, by now I have all 4 of them, of course, because I could not just bear it in my heart to just only have an Avatar of Air on my wall. But no regret there. They are amazing, and I think most players agree.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. This was another good one. Thanks for joining me, Nick. The unique review will be coming hopefully in a week or 2 after this video comes out. So watch for that. We should shout out the drafts again. I guess 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we do a draft hosted by me. Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. European time, Nick hosts a draft. So if you want to draft online, join the Sorcerers at the Core Discord and send us messages if you can't find where you're supposed to be going. But we have a lot of fun in those drafts. So we draft every format that's currently available. So you can hit us up and join a draft sometime.
Yep, and there's also a stream for the draft. So if you like drafting and want to learn about it, you can always watch the stream. We have 30 videos of how to build different decks, etc. And Mitch, I'm a bit sad because we only have the one unique review, and we're perhaps still Dragon Lords. But I heard that there are some whispers going around the Discord, so potentially we have a Gothic review to look forward to.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, there's some like weird little spoiler thing that like they're hinting towards. So maybe this Friday after we're recording this, we'll get some news about Gothic. So looking forward to that. But hopefully there's not too much of a break between this review and our Gothic review. So really excited about that. Okay, I think we're gonna call it there. Thanks again, Nick. See you guys.
See you.
Thanks so much for watching all the way through. If you made it here, you're truly one of my biggest supporters and I really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of our review down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you catch all my future content. If you haven't already, check out our reviews of the Ordinaries and Exceptionals from beta, and stay tuned, our beta unique review is coming very soon. We've also covered every card in Arthurian Legends, and of course we'll be covering Gothic once the full set is spoiled on Curiosa. I've also put together a single screenshot that ranks all the elite cards from best to worst based on our average grades. You can download it from my Google Drive, link in the description, to keep on your phone or computer. I trimmed out the bottom rows since those cards aren't really relevant to the format. Finally, if you want to dive deep, there's also a link to the Google Sheet where I collected both of our grades. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon for the beta unique review.